I would like to call this meeting of the City Council in the City of Palm Beach Gardens to order. Would you all please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mayor Tinsley?
Here.
Vice Mayor Jablin?
Here.
Councilmember Primoroso?
Here.
Councilmember Levy?
Here.
Councilmember Marino?
Here.
Mayor Faraday Havlicek?
Here.
Very good. Well, as you see, we have a new mayor here today. He is mayor for the day. His name is Mayor Johnny Havlicek today. He's done a great job being in charge of our city today. He is 7 years old. He is a second grader at St. Mark's Episcopal School. His hobbies and interests include baseball, basketball, and watching all sports. Is that right? Right. His favorite food is breakfast, bacon and eggs. And he is joined here today by his mom, Kim. You could raise your hand in the audience there. Grandma Beth and Uncle Brian. Everybody raise your hand there. And on behalf of the City Council, since you've done such an excellent job today, I want to present you with a signed and sealed certificate which says the City of Palm Beach Gardens hereby appoints Johnny Havlicek mayor for a day dated May 5th, 2016. We also have, oh my gosh, a very big goodie bag that's like the size of you, right here, and that's for you. And thank you so much for joining us tonight, Mayor. You can take that. And it's been a pleasure having you here this evening, and you did an excellent, excellent job up here tonight calling all of these people to order. We appreciate everything, and I hope you learned a lot, and I hope you take what you've learned to your school and share all of what you learned with all of your classmates. That would be wonderful. I appreciate everything. We had a great time this morning. Give me a hand. So I'm going to walk you downstairs back to your mom. Okay? Excuse me 1 second. It was so much fun having him here today. He did a great, great job. Oh, hold on 1 second. We forgot a certificate up here. Can you do me? Sorry, he forgot a certificate, so I wanted to make sure he left with that. Okay, we're going to move on to additions, deletions, and modifications.
None.
None? Okay. We have none. I do want to say we have a very busy evening and we have a lot of business to get to. So if anyone wants to speak on any item on the agenda, or even if it's not on the agenda, if you can please fill out a card. There are cards right there at the table. If you do wish to speak, please fill out a card and give it to our city clerk, Patty, at the end there, so we can tally them, because we might, if we have a lot of cards, we might have to limit the time depending on how many cards we have. We do have an ordinance that says we have to end the meeting at 11:30, so we need to make sure that we have an opportunity for everybody to speak and for all of us to do our business. I know that sounds a little silly, but we've had numerous meetings where we've actually had to cut off the meeting and complete it the following day. So we don't want that to happen. Yes, no good decisions are made after.
Well, if you want to go past 11:30, we've got the mayor for the day. We can sub him in.
Right, exactly.
Can I just say, you know, the reason we passed that ordinance years ago, when I was first elected, we didn't have that limit on the time, and we used to go till 2, sometimes 3 o'clock in the morning. And believe me, you pass things at 3 o'clock in the morning, sometimes that you would never pass at 7 o'clock at night. So we decided just to get out of here. So we decided to do it that way. I think it's a smart idea.
Okay, so moving on to announcements and presentations, we have All Aboard Florida.
Good evening, Council, Mayor, and Mayor for the day. I'm Todd Engel, City Engineer, and we're here to present 100% plans that we received from the All Aboard Florida. I'm going to try to run through these briefly. Two things we're trying to accomplish with the All Aboard Florida. Obviously, they need a sealed corridor due to the speed, and the city would like to establish a quiet zone. So there are a lot of the same measures to be installed, but a few extra to create the quiet zone for our city in the North Corridor. So for the North Corridor, currently they're building the double tracking from Miami to 45th Street. This portion, Phase 2, covers from 23rd Street all the way to Tequesta, and I highlighted the areas that have affected the city of Palm Beach Gardens. And we have 6 crossings within our jurisdiction. We are responsible for 3 of those crossings, and the county is responsible for the other 3. So we have the lease agreements with the 3. Most of the improvements to create the quiet zone as well as the sealed corridor are to install more exit gates. There currently are not a lot of exit gates at these intersections, so that's the majority of the improvements. Now, hot off the presses, we received an email from the MPO today at 5 o'clock. They calculated the quiet zone with 100% submittal. And then we were lacking 1 additional exit gate at Kyoto Gardens Drive, and the MPO has agreed to install that, and they're going to have All Aboard Florida add those to the plans. So that will be reflected here. So we can go down the track. Here's Donald Ross Crossing. Again, this one's owned by the county. What exists today is 2 entry gates. The track on this area will be placed on the east side, and All Aboard Florida is proposing to put a exit gate at the east exit approach of that intersection. Moving a little further down to Hood Road, pretty much the same alignment. All Aboard Florida will be installing an exit gate on the eastbound side of the railroad tracks, and again, that track is on the east side. Moving to the Kyoto Guard Crossing, the actual track, the new track actually switches to the west side. There's a big long curve there where they actually switch the tracks, and that's why the tracks switch from the west to the east for the rest of the remainder throughout the city. So again, they have the approaches, and the exit one will be on the eastbound approach, and the MPO has agreed in order to establish the quiet zone to install the exit gate at the westbound approach of that intersection. RCA gets a little more improvements. It actually gets a median divider, and there's a sidewalk that exists out in front of Chromalloy. They're going to connect that sidewalk to the alternate A1A intersection to allow for pedestrian ADA access. And they're going to install the eastbound exit gate at that approach as well. Burns Road is very similar. The improvements are on the west side. They're going to install an exit gate at the eastbound, as well as they're going to have to install new signals because they're pushing that intersection far back enough where you lose the sight of the signals that are there today. So they'll be installing a new catwalk with actual traffic signals on them. And Lighthouse Drive will get a full closure of the approach. So the exit approach will be done, and they'll fully across and interlocking gates at that area. So those are the improvements within the city that All Aboard Florida is planning together with the MPO to both create the quiet zone and establish the sealed corridor for the speeds that the trains will be achieving in these areas. Is there any questions?
Anybody have any questions?
No, but I just wanted to say that I've been up here 25 years, and I didn't think I'd ever see this day. Not that All Aboard Florida is the greatest thing that ever happened to South Florida necessarily. I'm not saying that, but I've been trying to get quiet zones for almost 20 years in the city, and finally it's coming to fruition, which is really great. And for those of you who don't know what a quiet zone is you've all experienced the blaring and jarring noise of a train horn. That will go away when the quiet zone is established in our city. So I think it's a good thing. Thanks.
Anybody else have any questions or comments? No? And Eric, you're absolutely right. I think the number one question that I get is, are we going to get quiet zones? How can we get quiet zones? And when are we going to get quiet zones? And just recently we were at an HOA meeting doing an update for the city, and everyone asked the same questions. Again, same thing about quiet zones. So I'm really looking forward to this happening in the entire north end of our county. So thank you very much for keeping us up to date on this. It's very important. Okay. I guess that's it. Do we need to give him any direction or anything?
No, ma'am. We just wanted to bring that to your attention. We'll probably bring back the agreement in June if all's well and it passes the attorney's review. We'll let you know.
Awesome.
The next item will be the right-of-way conveyance agreement for 117th Court. Introduction-wise, you know that the city has been trying to acquire that road since 1994. As far as our records go back, a flurry of activity has occurred a period of years, 2008, 2009, 11, 13. Recently, we've had talks with and submitted a quitclaim deed back in December of this past year to try to acquire the land. It was deemed not quite acceptable, so we've been negotiating back and forth with the school staff regarding terms and conditions. We've had a flurry of activity beginning on April 6th, and I think what we have before you is that's something that will be acceptable, at least we hope it will be acceptable to the school board. Should you approve it tonight, Todd will present some of the details to you. Given approval tonight, we'll go to the school administration, we'll put it on the agenda hopefully in June, and hopefully they will be able to get us a deed by the end of June, if that so be their wishes. So we've done everything that we know how to do to get to this point, and it's taken a long time, but it's been a lot of cooperation in the last couple of weeks from the school administration that we appreciate greatly. Todd, would you present?
Sure. So on the consent agenda, under Resolution 33 is the conveyance of the right-of-way of 117th Court North. Stipulated in that agreement is that we have to prepare a sketch in legal as well as do a survey overlaid on an aerial of the existing conditions. That has already been done. We have to design and construct 117th North, and we have to design it in such a manner to try to restrict conflicting movements, mainly left-bound turning movements. So we're in the process of doing that right now. We have to coordinate the design and construction with the school board. We have to do the construction within 18 months. We have to landscape, irrigate, and provide drainage for the roadway. We have to maintain the roadway in perpetuity. So the objective for us to design the road is to improve the overall traffic flow for the school, both schools along 117th North. We also want to provide a dedicated through lane all the way through with no interruptions to our city park. Increase stacking for both incoming and outgoing traffic for the school board. Provide two means of ingress and egress for the schools. And provide landscaping, irrigation, and maintain the roads to the standards that the city maintains the roads. So here's existing 117th North. Currently, it's basically a two-lane, undivided road, each direction with some turn lanes that sporadically come in and out. Below is just our conceptual design of what we think we can do to this road. Once we get approval tonight, we'll go to full design. The idea is to divide the road and increase stacking both outgoing and incoming for the roadway, and also restrict movements. So essentially, we're going to make a dedicated through lane. There'll be an uninterrupted dedicated through lane from Central Boulevard all the way to our city park. We'll increase stacking. Currently at Duncan Middle School, there is zero stacking. The stacking does not exist, so we're going to create over 2,000 linear feet of stacking specifically for Duncan Middle School. And then for Timber Trace, they'll have a standalone bus loop that comes in. Their bus traffic comes in and out of here, so the bus traffic for Timber Trace can get out of that, get out of the stacking for the parents and Timber Trace parents coming through here. The intersection of 117th, we're going to also, like we talked about, provide stacking for incoming with outgoing as well. Currently today, on the westbound approach, heading northbound on Central, there's about 100 feet of stacking, which isn't enough at all for peak time hours. We're going to provide over 1,500 linear feet of stacking just for that one movement as well. For the southbound movement, they'll have continuous stacking, and that'll run about 2,500 feet. In order to restrict the movements, we're basically looking at when parents come out to have left-bound movements only, there will be medians. There will be median divides at the school. They'll be blocked in some manner, either like bollards like we have up here at Holly Drive, or signage or temporary cones. We'll work all those out. But the idea is the parents will make the left-bound movements instead of making those cross-conflicting movements, right-bound movements. So this is basically how it would work. Parents would exit, take a right. They would head west on 117th. They would hit the roundabout. They can either proceed south towards the intersection of Shady Lakes and PGA, or they can make a U-turn at the roundabout, which is designed for the largest bus that Palm Beach County has, so the buses can make the U-turns, and they can head back west to 117th intersection in Central. And then, of course, we're going to landscape the road like the City of Palm Beach Gardens will landscape a road. We'll provide the irrigation and landscaping. At some points, we have a 16-foot wide divided median there to provide landscaping in that area. Estimated cost of the project is about $2.2 million. Any questions?
Any questions?
Yeah, when are we going to start construction on this?
Construction is going to start, if the resolution's passed tonight, the second we gain ownership of the roadway.
Okay,
Start
good.
to design tonight, and we'll try to get construction started. June 2nd is when school lets out. We would like to have all the hardscape improvements to this road done before school comes back in. Doesn't mean all the landscaping and all the pretty stuff will be in, but the road will be passable and travelable by the time school comes back, and that is our goal.
Well, the parents of Timber Trace and Duncan will really thank you. It's funny because this is kind of a nostalgic night. We've been working on quiet zones forever. We've been working on this forever. This was a problem when my son started Timber Trace in 1995. And, 21 years later, I think we're finally going to solve this. That's really good. I want to thank you and everyone who worked on getting this right away. I know it's been a battle that we've been, Marcy, I know you were very instrumental in this. It's been a battle for years. And finally, I see a light at the end of the tunnel. And hopefully it's not a train.
Do we know when the school board meets next?
School board is scheduled to meet on June 15th.
They're not out for the summer, are they?
No.
Just want to make sure.
Anybody else have any?
There's always been something thrown into this thing. That's why I just had to ask that,
Get
because you never
paid
know.
year-round.
Yeah, they get paid year-round. And any other comments or questions? No? I do also want to reiterate what David said. Thank you so much, Todd. I know you worked extra hard on this. Since our last special meeting, you put in a lot of time, a lot of effort. Ron, the same thing. I want to thank you for putting a lot of effort into making sure the public's comments were addressed. You incorporated as many of those comments as you could into the design plans, and Simmons and White as well. The very next day after that special meeting, you were drawing, and I just heard you say that tonight you're going to work on this plan. Holy cow. We really have a very hard-working staff, and I really, really appreciate that, and I know that you put a lot of hard work and effort into it. And I think Bert's going to be interested. There is a sliver of a chance, a small chance, but look, we've worked on this. I've been around here dropping my daughter off at Duncan Middle, and since 2003 have been talking about working on this road. And I did have a casual conversation with the MPO, and they did say that there is a transportation alternatives program. And again, it could be a slim chance, but I'm one to look at the glass half full that we could potentially look to receiving $750,000 of federal funds for a smaller scale improvement such as this, and or depending on the category of this roadway, even more dollars, up to $2.5 million. It depends on the classification of the road, and obviously it has to be a public right-of-way. So we still have a lot of hoops to go through, but if that's at all possible, it would have to be done after the design anyway, and we would have to spend our own money to do the design, and then it would be a reimbursement in the future, but it's 3 years in the future. But hey, if it's dollars we can get, I would really encourage us all to move forward, at least try.
we will pursue that.
And I know you guys will. You guys are very fiscally accountable, so I have no doubt in my mind that you'll look into that. So thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Okay. Moving on to items of resident interest and board and committee reports. We'll start with, how about Eric? We always start at that end, so how about we start at your end?
Well, I haven't got much except since our last meeting, but I just want to remind everybody that the Green Market was wrapped up and their outdoor session last Sunday, and they're moving to their indoor digs at the Storehouse, is that what they call it? The store? Yeah, on PGA Military this Sunday, and they're open from 8 to 1. And so for all those people who look forward to Mr. Bread and all of the other great things that the Green Market offers them.
Apple cider donuts.
Apple cider donuts, exactly.
Right.
Blueberry apple cider donuts, too.
Yeah,
They'll be there this Sunday, so I'll be there, too.
Awesome. Bert, any words of wisdom for us?
A couple of events I attended with Maria was there, and Marcy was at one of them as well. We had the Dwyer Gala at the Marriott last Saturday, or a couple Saturdays ago, which is one of their fundraisers to raise funds basically for the school. As we know and we hear about all the time, the school board continues to cut funding for magnet programs and other things. So a lot of the high schools and middle schools and elementary schools, if you will, have formed kind of these committees or foundations to raise money for their particular schools. The gala was beautiful. It was the second year I think Dwyer has had it, and a lot of people there, and a lot of great show of support. And it was a nice event to go to, and I'm glad we were invited. So that was nice. Also on last Saturday, Maria and I played in the Gardens Magnet Golf Tournament at Abacoa, which hopefully in 2 years will move to Palm Beach Gardens once our clubhouse is done. But that was a nice event as well. I think it raised somewhere around $25,000 for the Gardens High School Magnet Program. Again, looking for additional funding for our programs for our kids and our schools. And a lot of people are involved in these committees to take the ball and run with it, no pun intended. But it was a great event, great weather, and I think we had a great time. And last but not least, I kind of want to give a shout out to Woolbright Development Group. Have not met with this company or these individuals, but they bought the Promenade Publix on Lighthouse and A1A. And I think you're starting to see some activity with that center with regards to the painting of the whole building. Landscaping, I saw them working on irrigation the other day, putting in certain roadway improvements. So I commend them for coming into our city, buying an asset out of foreclosure at probably a pretty good price, but recognizing the name of the city and how valuable it is. They wanted to be here, and they're just not turning around, flipping it and selling it. They're actually putting hard work into it, making some leasehold improvements, moving some tenants around, and hopefully recruiting to fill up that center again, because it is a beautiful part of our city on the east side. And I'm probably there 3 or 4 times a week. I love that Publix. I love going over there to all the out parcels and stuff. So Woolbright Development Group, thank you for your efforts, and we look forward to seeing what that beautiful asset's going to be down the road. That's it.
That's great. David?
I'll let you talk about the chamber meeting.
Okay.
The poet.
Yes, I could do that.
I attended the League of Cities Board of Directors meetings, and we made a couple of appointments. For the Criminal Justice Commission, we appoint Commissioner Keith James of West Palm Beach. To the Water Resource Task Force, we appointed Commissioner Chip Block of Jupiter Inlet Colony. To the Homeless Advisory Board, City Manager Bill Thrasher. We accepted 3 new associate members, the Florida Green Finance Authority, Muni App LLC, and Jim Aniston Karras. Probably the most interesting thing, though, is we had a budget presentation by the Inspector General on his upcoming year's budget. And I also want to commend Bert Permoroso, who's on the League of Cities Budget Oversight Committee for the Inspector General. And this year, the League did not come up with any comments, I believe, correct, on the Inspector General's budget. He did pass out a highlight. I thought this would be interesting. I'd go ahead and read some highlights since the inception of the Inspector General's office in 2010. They've had identified 20 million plus question costs. They've had just under 20 million of cost avoidance by their efforts. They've identified $2 million of costs being returned to the public to offset taxpayers' burden. They've responded to 9,000 inquiries. They've had 500 recommendations for ways of saving taxpayer dollars, with a 94% acceptance rate by the regulated authority. They've reached 12,000 people through outreach, education, prevention. I think they count me 5 times because I've gone through their training program 5 times. And they have over $1 billion of procurement costs that they're looking at. So they're doing, I've got to say, I met the new Inspector General. I think that this guy is going to do a great job for our county. He seems to be the real deal, don't you think, Bert?
Yeah, when I first looked at the budget for next year, and as a committee, it's made up of elected municipal leaders throughout the county. And in the past years, we had met and had presentations done with League of Cities. And actually, the last year and a half, the budgets have been really well put together, really well presented by the Inspector General to the League, and we've been impressed with the whole process. And I agree. I think this guy is really going to be good for our county.
So with that, I'll pass I guess, to Maria, right?
Absolutely.
Good evening, everyone. I also attended the Florida League of Cities Elected Officials Workshop, and I just want to give a shout out to the City of Palm Beach Gardens, because Kelly Smallridge of the Business Development Board has once again said how wonderful it is to work with the city, how organized we are, the expedited permitting. She said we are a model city to work with, so I'd like to kudos to the staff. Thank you very much. Like Bert said, Gardens High School golf tournament, we didn't win. Sorry.
And we were 20 under.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know.
And we lost by 5, 25 under.
Wow. For those of you that are golfers in the audience, the best wood in your bag is your pencil. Especially if it has an eraser on the end of it. I attended a retirement party for Joe Russo at Ballin Isles. Just one more kickoff for Joe. And also would like to say I am Palm Beach North. And Marcy, you can take that away.
Okay, absolutely. I kind of like going last because you guys take care of the majority of it. This month, actually 5 days after I became mayor, I gave a city address to the PGA Corridor Association at their breakfast, and that it seemed like there was 400 people there. I'm not sure how many people there, but it was a lot of fun. We also, same thing, I attended the 25th anniversary breakfast for Dwyer High School. This was before the gala on Saturday, that Saturday after. But it was a great event because the school, the students, the chorus, the band, it was amazing to see all of those students celebrate the 25 years. And actually even those parents that attended Dwyer High School 25 years ago. So they had a lot of people there, which was really nice to hear and to see them celebrate that. We also had our Shady Lake special meeting, which was very well attended. I want to thank staff for putting that together because it was great to be able to have just one topic on the agenda, and that worked out well. And then we also had the North Palm Beach County Chamber branding kickoff, and that's what everyone was talking about. And that was a lot of fun. All of the North County members of the Chamber were there, and the branding kickoff went extremely well. A lot of television channels were there, and we had a proclamation that our staff came up with. Candace did a wonderful job, and I'm going to read it because it was really a lot of fun. It was really a category separator, and we really shined that day. So our little proclamation, which was very informal, it went, "We are Palm Beach Gardens, happiest city in the county, your heart will sing. A keen eye on smart growth makes our team first string. Home of the Honda Classic, that has a nice ring. So much art in public places, our bridge has bling. Conserving land, it's a gardens thing. Crown jewel of the North County, a city fit for a king. We are Palm Beach North." And that was the slogan. So they did a great job putting that together. Thank you. And then last, but certainly not least, of all the rights of women, the greatest is to be a mom. So I read that on a card one time, and I remembered that. So with that said, I just want to wish all the moms out there and all the moms in our city and everywhere a very happy Mother's Day. Thank you. And Cinco de Mayo, there you go. Okay, moving on to comments from the public, and this is for items that are not on the agenda. And I'm just going to remind you, because we're going to be soon we're going to be closing the comments section, so please sign up if anyone wants to speak on the items that are on the agenda, so that we can count the cards and then figure out how much time we can offer everyone to speak. I got to find my cards. Hold on a second. Okay. First to speak is Michael Marsh. And after Michael is going to be Israel Balderas.
Michael Marsh, P.O. Box 691061, Vero Beach, Florida. Thank you very much. It's funny because I'm also a little poetic too, and that's why I brought tonight. First off, real brief, I just want to say, I'm only coming 2 more times. We asked a couple different things from the city of Palm Beach Gardens, and we got them. We asked for Newman Raja to be terminated from the police department. We got that. We asked for him to be terminated from Palm Beach State College. We got that. Mayor Jablin wrote a letter along with the city council. We got that. The most important thing that's very close to me is the fact that the city of Palm Beach Gardens will be implementing body cameras very soon this summer. There's nothing else for me to complain about. I do want to read this poem in remembrance of my friend Corey Jones. There was no dash cam nor a body cam. Are you suspicious? I am. 3 a.m., officer, and you supposedly stepped in for assistance? Then how is it our drummer boy is no longer in existence? We are praying the grand jury gives us justice, because evil and good, there are no coexistence. All we want is the truth. It can't bring our loved one back, and that's a sad truth. But my God will step in. Let's remember, Corey never discharged his weapon. Keep the beat alive, the hashtag forever we will be repping. To the media, are you really a friend, or do you just want a 5 and 6 o'clock story to play again? How did this officer go from playing burglary patrol to ending up on the 95 ramp playing state trooper patrol? You took away our drummer boy. But May 20th, there's plenty of organizations you will see. Oh boy. Raja, didn't you have problems with another force? You had less than deadly options, but you justified your deadly force. I hate to use race, but yet another black man, but of course. Corey from elementary had the most kindest demeanor. The media called him subject, but in his record, there wasn't even a conviction of a misdemeanor. Today is the 163rd day. My brother has yet to get justice. I am C.J. Jones. Today is the 163rd day. My brother has yet to get this justice. I am Melissa Jones. If we don't get body cameras on all law enforcement in the state of Florida, I may be another victim as Corey Jones. You have implemented change. For that, I'm thankful, Palm Beach Gardens. But Aaron Berg, you failed us. My friend Corey was murdered in Palm Beach Gardens. To the family and friends and supporters of Corey, all I can say is God bless. I am, you are, we are. Team success. God bless. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Israeli Balderas. And after is going to be Matthew Kamula.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and council members. My name is Israel Balderas. Some of you may know me as a local TV journalist.
Can you please state your name and address for the record also?
5025 Whispering Hollow,
Thank
Palm
you.
Beach Gardens. As I said, my name is Israel Balderas. I work for a local TV station. Tonight, I come to you as a Shady Lakes resident. You know, I've covered lots of public meetings, from Boca to Sebastian, and I'm usually the umpire. I'm the guy that calls a ball and a strike. But last time I was here, the subject matter involved a perceived dangerous road through a quiet neighborhood, and the meeting was billed as a public hearing, informational gathering, and it wasn't. And even tonight, you, Madam Mayor, said public concerns were addressed, and I'm thinking to myself, were we at the same meeting? Because that is patently untrue. Most of you were not only arrogant in what you think is the right thing to do, but you were also condescending towards people out here in the public, especially you, Councilman Jablin.
Please direct all of your comments to me, please.
Sure.
Thank you.
Now, tonight, I believe another TV station is here in the room. They are going to do an investigative piece about how you are not being open and transparent when it comes to public safety concerning firefighters and first responders. Now, obviously, I might be conflicted out of doing this story because the manager might come to me on camera and say, well, we don't have enough money to hire enough firefighters. And then I'd point out, well, you're spending millions of dollars to put in a road through my neighborhood when we don't want it. Now, after waking up to the harsh reality that there are things happening in my city that are quite concerning to me, I have decided, I need to get more engaged. And I have a feeling that that same frustration that I see out there in the campaign trail, people angry, they're upset because politicians are arrogant, politicians don't listen to the people, you abuse the public trust. I have a feeling that issue is going to be out there again, out on the campaign trail. So all I'm telling you is do the right thing, because I may cover you as a journalist, and when I go to Delray Beach or I go to Lake Worth or I go to Fort Pierce, usually I try to be not emotionally engaged with the subject matter. But what I saw last time around, I have never seen, and I'm telling you, I don't take things so lightly. I have never seen people out here treated the way you guys treated just normal, average, ordinary citizens. And when one of your members, Mayor, writes an op-ed piece in the newspaper attacking a public citizen, that is shameful. That is so shameful. So if I were you, I'd pay more attention to the people out here. And I have a feeling, Mr. City Manager, if I were you, I'd start polishing my resume, because I think you.
Excuse me, please direct all of your. Do not single out anyone on this dais. Speak directly to me. Thank you.
As an attorney, let me speak. As a First Amendment attorney, let me speak and say, I'm addressing you, but I'm just saying the way this city is run is going to be an issue next year.
Thank you very much for your comments. And we're going to refrain. Excuse me. Thank you. We're going to refrain, because we have a very, very long agenda and we do have to get through every item. We're going to refrain from clapping, booing, hissing, and again, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. The next person is Matthew Kamula. Sorry about that.
People slaughter my last name.
I apologize. Name and address for the record, please.
Matthew Kamula, 9678 Osprey Isles Boulevard. May it please the council, mayor, vice mayor, council members. I am also the president of the Osprey Isles Homeowners Association. If you do not know where Osprey Isles is located on the north side of North Lake Boulevard, between the municipal golf course of the city of Palm Beach Gardens, the Star of David Cemetery, and the community of Carlton Oaks. First, I wanted to start out welcoming our potential new neighbor, Avenir. However, I also wanted to, in addition, announce another neighbor who will be moving into the vicinity that I just mentioned. They're going to be building fairly soon. This is in the area between Osprey Isles and the Star of David Cemetery. This area is along the southern border of the city of Palm Beach Gardens. Thus, it is of a concern to the city of Palm Beach Gardens. A CLF, or a congregate living facility, is slated to get final approval in the area between Osprey Isles and the Star of David Cemetery. This is a facility, a congregate living facility with 125 beds. It has been almost finally approved and will be providing the following services at the location: residential detoxification services, intensive inpatient treatment, residential treatment services, outpatient detoxification and stabilization services, day and night treatment with community housing, along with intensive outpatient treatment. Simply put, we have a drug detox rehabilitation and alcohol center being placed on the southern border of the city of Palm Beach Gardens, next to the residential communities of Osprey Isles, Carlton Oaks, Ibis, Bay Hill, and the public shopping center. The challenge? None of the member communities remembers getting any sort of notice that this was a planned use for this particular parcel of land, especially after an approval was given to the project in January of 2015. Call to action to this council: because of the proximity of the project to the city of Palm Beach Gardens, the concerned citizens of these communities would respectfully request that the city council look at this matter with a bit of a deeper eye and depth due to the potential impact such a facility will have on the North Lake corridor, the traffic, the element along the southern border of the city of Palm Beach Gardens. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ron, is this a county property that we're referring to? Yeah.
But we can take a stance on this. I had a conversation with Sal Paso about this issue. I think maybe, I don't know if there are more cards on this, but we may want
I don't know.
to reserve a time to discuss this maybe after items of resident interest, because I think there is a concern, especially after I saw that article on sober homes, and this sounds like sober homes on steroids.
Yeah. Well, why don't we do that at the end of the agenda under council discussion?
Okay. Just to
so
let
that we have.
Let the public know that's the last thing that we do before we adjourn,
because
but
we
we will
have a lot of business to do.
discuss this at that time.
And if not, we'll definitely, I'm sure staff will look into it. Okay. Next is Joseph Russo. And this is the junior. And I'm assuming this is not for an item on the agenda?
That is correct.
Okay. Name and address, please.
Joe Russo, 4907 Midtown Lane, Palm Beach Gardens. And yes, I do have better hair, just saying that. And I wanted to speak today about an issue I feel very strong with that a lot of people probably aren't noticing, because it's an issue that we just frankly don't notice every day, and that's PGA Boulevard. It's the road I travel every single day. I take Shady Lakes Drive, as a matter of fact, to get there. But last week, there was a tragedy on PGA Boulevard. Somebody was biking across PGA Boulevard and tragically lost their life. And it's a very sad, sad moment. And, Sarah Peters, who's the Palm Beach Post reporter, just put out a very nice article today that talked a lot about traffic safety, not only for Palm Beach Gardens, but how we interact with bikers and pedestrians on the street. And let's face it, when we're on the street on a daily basis, we're not thinking about who else we're sharing the street with, because we just predetermine that they're cars. What I'm asking you guys to do today, the city council, the staff, all the residents, is to, one, think about who you're sharing the road with. But more importantly, think about how we're going to be changing PGA Boulevard in this next generation. Specifically, in 2009, the Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council commissioned a study called the Citizens Master Plan. In that plan, it was noted, and I quote, PGA Boulevard is seen by many in the community as their main street. But in order for other modes of transportation to be successful, this corridor needs to undergo some changes. I think it's clear that we need to reevaluate PGA Boulevard for bikes, for pedestrians, and not just for cars. The MPO is currently undergoing a complete streets working group that I believe I made known to a few of you up there, and I've been to several of those meetings. They are looking at how they can interact with cities and with the state to better our roadways. Specifically, this is an FDOT road. They, of course, have ownership. They have the ability to make changes. I would encourage the city council to bring this issue to their attention, bring this tragic matter to their attention, see if there's anything within the city's power or with the state's power to make the improvements to PGA Boulevard and other streets so that this tragedy might never happen again. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Kathy Beamer. And then after that is Barry Mendelowitz.
Madam Mayor, Council, my name is Kathy Beamer. I live at 2258 Quail Ridge North. Obviously, you all know me by now, as I've asked this council repeatedly to solve the congestion problem on 117th before starting any project for the Shady Lakes extension. It was great to see that you have a deal in the works, and it looks like it's very close to fruition to acquire the right-of-way on 117th, and that you're providing the additional lanes so that there'll be a direct route to the athletic facilities and ease the congestion for the 30 minutes in the morning and the 30 minutes in the afternoon that are so bad. I think most of us affected by the City Council's decision are very, very happy to see that you're proceeding to fix 117th right away. Based on the fact that you have finally solved that logjam with the school board, I would renew my request that you put the Shady Lakes extension on hold until you see the effect of the improvements to 117th and how far that will go to solve your problems. You could reallocate the $2.5 million for the extension of Shady Lakes to the 117th project improvements and potentially save your residents millions of dollars on a road that the residents that are affected by this do not want. On a separate note, I reviewed the changes that your planning department or your contractors, I really don't know who does this, made to the design that was published on the website Tuesday after the presentation that was provided to Shady Lakes last week before, I don't know, and would ask that you have another presentation so that the residents adversely affected by the potential extension can have input again. And I'm going to ask that after this presentation that you provide an answer to the question, will you agree to have an additional presentation? I did speak with Todd Engel. It was my impression that he thought there would be an additional presentation, but I would like to confirm that with the City Council. While it's possible I am misinterpreting the drawings, it appears that contrary to your assurances to us in the fall of last year, and even in your recent suggestions that we look at Coyote Gardens, that we look at Burns Road to see that you all will definitely, there'll be walls, there'll be landscaping, there'll be noise reduction, there'll be all these things. When I look at the new plan for Shady Lakes Extension, there's no barrier whatsoever. On my premises, I'm on the city sidewalk. There's not a berm, there's not a wall, there's not extensive landscaping, and now we have some kind of depressions called detentions, and I understand that's where mosquitoes breed. In any event, I would like to have the opportunity to have an understanding from these planners what that whole new plan really means, because I am having trouble with the size of it and with I can't even read the little things that are on there. I could be misinterpreting it completely. I really could. But what I look and see now, it's worse than before.
I appreciate your comments, and I do want to say that as far as 117th, once or if it's approved today, obviously we have to vote on that, but I don't want to count my chickens. It still has to be approved by the school board. I'm very confident that we are moving in the right direction. I have really worked hard to speaking with school board members and staff and working with our staff here, and I'm very confident. But again, I don't want to count my chickens because it still has to go towards their to their board to get approved and deeded over here. So I would like to do that this month, and then I would have no problems working with you or with your HOA, however, your board, but to go through and the details of the plan in a meeting. However, I would like to get an answer from the school board, because since it's going to be this month, I would like to have both done, so we can maybe do that at the same time, so we can give you an answer regarding the 117th, obviously whether it was approved or not, and also then work with you to kind of go through the details, sections per se, of the revised plan. I'm happy to do that.
In one meeting at the same time?
Correct. Yep. Okay.
Thank you.
But thank you very much for your comment.
On that note, when is this being brought up? Should we go to the school board meeting and speak in favor?
I think it's this month, but I really don't think that we need to. I honestly think that we have staff, and our staff and their staff is in agreement, correct, Ron? And so I really think that it's working in a positive direction.
I believe staff knows that we're totally in favor of this.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
We're
Absolutely.
signing it first.
Correct. We're going to be signing it first, the agreement. So
Can we sign
okay,
with an
next.
exclamation mark?
Yes. Barry, you're next. Thank you. And then name and address for the record. And after Barry, it's Abby Baker.
Barry Mandelowitz, 4010 Willow Run, Palm Beach Gardens. First of all, thank you, Mayor Tinsley and Mr. Ferris, for closing the deal with the school board. Since the resident meeting with Mr. Downey and staff with Shady Lakes residents in November, we have been pushing to get the road done as well. I have a question about that, and I'd like to, maybe you can get with staff, but I'd like for you all to answer is, does the budget to construct the road include a second westbound left turn lane and a second southbound left turn lane as recommended by the city's traffic engineer? Because the 117th Court Central Boulevard intersection does not meet operational standards during peak hours. On another matter, the special meeting for the residents for the Shady Lakes extension informed us that the construction will be over budget by $3.5 million. The budget excluded and deleted from the project the privacy sound walls and landscape berms to protect our residents and pedestrians from the road, to the tune of just under $1 million. Please add these elements back into the project and do not skimp on this roadway. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, and we'll have staff look into your questions. Oh, turn my mic off. Abby? And after Abby is going to be Matt Baker.
Abby Baker, 220 Isle Verde Way, Palm Beach Gardens. Thanks for letting me speak. I've been here a few times before over the last, now more than a year. And tonight I came because I think I have to go back to really the beginning, because I think we've gotten caught up in numbers, which I've showed my numbers. The more numbers I've shown, the more we've been told that, well, it's increasing because you're a further distance away, and everything's been interpreted differently. And so tonight I brought with me something that was put out almost a decade ago by the firefighters and the paramedics of this city. And it says, who will be available to answer your call in an emergency? And it says, your fire department level of service is in jeopardy. Recommendations by the city to save money will drastically reduce the number of firefighters and paramedics that'll be on duty to answer your call in times of emergency. Your firefighters and paramedics urge you to reject this reduction in life-saving personnel. Currently, the fire department staff all fire stations with a minimum of 5 firefighters and paramedics who respond every day, 24/7, 365, rain or shine, day and night, from every fire station in the city. The city now plans to implement a reduced staffing level at any number of fire stations throughout the city. What does this mean for you? For you, the citizens of Palm Beach Gardens, with no minimum required staffing, it is possible that your emergency calls will have to be answered by farther away units or neighboring communities. This equates to delayed response times and less personnel to handle your emergency. For the fire department personnel, it'll mean working with unsafe staffing levels that will further endanger their very lives. So it's not a new topic, and we're delaying it and delaying it and delaying it with a study of which we're handing over city numbers for them to study, numbers that we've pulled for them to look at and see if they see anything different. And really what this was all about from the beginning was that we noticed there is a station that is not fully staffed. And we've noticed from the video demonstration that's all over now and posted on my Facebook page and commented on, and that they're all moving around. So then let's make it a city issue. Let's make it for every resident. When you're down staffing any one of our stations, you're not giving the level of service that we had almost a decade ago, when we had less calls, less people. So there really isn't much more to question here. There's no further information that's needed. And what I'd really like to know tonight is, do you want to bring your staffing levels back up to the service that you had a decade ago, that you took away because of money that we now have? We're all saying this isn't a money issue. It's not a numbers issue. It's, do you care about the lives in Palm Beach Gardens? Because we all do, and we'd like to see our staffing back.
Thank you. Is that a document or a publication that you want the council to look at, or is that just something you were reading? If you do, I was just going to say, if you did, you have to turn it into the city clerk, please. Thank you.
Madam Chair, I think this is something we also should take up under items for council discussion at the end of the meeting.
Well, we can talk about that at the end of the meeting then. Matt?
Good evening. It's Matt Baker, 220 Isle Verde Way. The Commission on Fire Accreditation International, CFAI, is a 501c3 organization under the Center for Public Safety, the CPSC, which was founded in 2006. Both are joint partnerships of the International Fire Chiefs and City-County Manager Groups. The CFAI's definition of their program is: accreditation is a comprehensive self-assessment and evaluation model that enables organizations to examine past, current, and future service levels and internal performance. The key words are self-assessment. The city constantly points to this accreditation from the organization founded by fire chiefs and city managers. It provides a tool to help local departments do a self-assessment. It is a methodology to perform everyday analysis of the service being provided. Yet, Palm Beach Gardens is now paying an outside organization to do a study. With the information being provided by the city about the city fire department, the study expenditure is really unnecessary. With accreditation, the city should already have the tools to analyze the system. The group doing the study will not be using information previously unknown to the city. So the final conclusion should be the same as using the accreditation tools. And the city is in the process of going through a reaccreditation at the same time this study is taking place. At the April council meeting, the main concern to providing full staffing at Station 64 was the proper use of city dollars. Council members and staff pointed to not wanting to spend the money on additional staffing at Station 64 unless the study said it was needed. In answers to a final council question, the chief stated that he would put 5-member teams in 64 if he had the budget. But the decision was still wait on the study. The quality of service for the residents in the western portion of the city was not the important part. The budget was. What about the dollars being spent on highly touted accreditation program? Aren't those tools for making the same decisions and the extra dollars being spent on the study? There must be something that's not being shared. The city recently signed a new working agreement with the firefighters union, and it was expensive, but the package was designed to maintain the high level of fire employees as surrounding communities. As recent as this past month, a new hire who just completed months of training at the city's expense left to join another department. How does that expense work in the city budget? Are we training them for others? Fire and police services are much like an insurance policy that residents buy with their annual tax payments. It provides peace of mind in case it is ever needed. Everyone in the city pays a piece of that budget item. Some pay more than others. All deserve equal services from our city. No special favors for one corner or another. No rational explanation can reach the conclusion that 3-member fire rescue teams provide the same insurance coverage as 5-member teams. I have a little bit more if that's okay.
Oop, my microphone again. We really have a very long meeting and we have business, so like 2 seconds.
Yep.
Wrap it up. Please.
In the past few months, the council had made many budget decisions on items like a new road, a new clubhouse, money for companies coming to town, etc. It's time to do the right thing and spend the dollars on a serious life safety issue at Station 64 first. Like the fire chief said, he would if he had the dollars. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Ron, under the city manager's report, could we address some of these questions? Thank you so much. Okay, sorry. Next is Wanda K. Duke Farnsley. I'm sorry, Frensley. Sorry about that. Name and address for the record, and after that is Kathy Gabrielle.
Wanda K. Duke Frensley, 34 Thurston, Palm Beach Gardens, Florida. The reason I'm here tonight, and thank you very much for letting me come before you, Mayor and Council, is to reiterate the importance of having a well-staffed fire and medic department. My husband had a major heart attack in 2014, and he happened to be in the water closet of our restroom. The fire department arrived almost immediately. It was amazing. They realized that 2 guys could not get him out because he was dead weight. 3 guys had to go in. Thank heavens there were others there who were prepping at the bedside for him to be put there. And when we did get to the hospital, they said the only reason he was alive was because of the fire and medics who had taken care of him and had gone into fast action and had reported to them what his needs were so that they could get him immediately into surgery. This would not have happened if we'd only had 3 guys. And I am forever grateful to the fire department and to the medics for being there that day and giving me those extra months. Thank you so very much.
Oh, thank you very much for sharing that story. And I'm really glad he's well. Kathy, and after that is Samuel. Oh my goodness, I can't read this one.
Hi, I'm Kathy Gabriel, 189 Sedona Way. At the April council meeting, we heard a simple refrain from the city staff and several of the council members. The message was basically, we're working on it, go away and let us finish our study. Hopefully the insincerity and contradictions behind that message is not the way everyday business is conducted in our city. As a starting point and review of the fallacies of statements the staff was pushing, look at the council and look at the schedule of the study itself. The topic of full staff at Station 64 was first brought before the council in the second quarter of 2015. In September, after resident presentations at a series of council meetings, funding for a study on the subject was placed in the 2016-17 city budget. From that point, this life safety issue was not even put out to bid until mid-December. From there, with much increased resident pressure, it took the city staff another 4 months to even start a study that deals with a life-saving service for the residents. We are sure it was by pure coincidence that the timing of the study team magically starting their work was the day before the April council meeting. It was 6 months from the time it was decided that a study was needed to actually working on what is now projected to be a 3 to 4 month study. All of that time, the residents of Zone 64 are being served by understaffed Station 64. It will be nearly a total year from the time it was decided a life safety study was needed to its completion. How many other decisions has this council made in much less time than that? What could possibly be the explanation for such an extended process when residents' lives are at stake? But there is even more puzzling questions surrounding even the basic need for this study. A few years ago, the city was in negotiations with Palm Beach County over an interlocal working agreement that concerned the fire rescue station in Lake Park. At the time, the county was staffing that station with just 3 fire rescue members. The city demanded that that team be brought up to 5 before they agreed. Surprisingly, that demand was made without a study. Before the economic crisis in 2008, all 5 Palm Beach Garden stations were staffed with 5 firefighters and paramedics. The budget cuts took those levels back to a staff of 3 at 2 of the stations. Again, this all happened without a study. This year, one of those stations, 65, was returned to regularly having 5-member teams. Again, the decision was made without the help of a study. Strangely enough, the city and fire department leadership made that decision using the same information the organization now doing the study will be using to make their conclusions on staffing for Station 64, which brings us to some very interesting questions. If the organization is using the same information as the city leadership was using to supply additional staffing to Station 65, why can't the city leadership do the study for Station 64? Why is the city paying an outside group to review the same information used to make decisions on a daily basis? If it is the same information, won't the city leadership folks already know the conclusion to the study? They use this information every day to schedule and examine daily results. It's time to stop the delay and add the necessary staff to 64 now.
Thank you very much for your comments. Next is Samuel Moshby, and I really apologize. I'm sorry for mispronouncing your name. And after that is going to be Alan Goldberg.
My name is Samuel Meshberg, 118 Via Placio, and thank you, Madam Mayor, for allowing me to speak again. And the reason I am speaking again is because Station 64 is not fully staffed. You can see us for a long time. I mean, there's a lot of us every week. There's more people who become aware of the situation and who are concerned that we have to exist with a partially staffed station, and all the reasons that we're hearing have not been convincing. We'll listen to them, and we should listen to them politely. But I do have a problem, Madam Mayor, because there is an article in the Bridgeport Post about my daughter, which was very uncomplimentary and insinuated that she somehow is doing something incorrect by expressing her grievances and coming to the council to let you know and letting her neighbors know about the Station 64. I don't think there's anybody within the town of city of Palm Beach Gardens who has spent more time building up the fire medics. She's become very friendly with them. They're at her house all the time. That's not why she's here. She's here because we all were there with Matt. The medics came in within 6 minutes. He was saved. The next group in, which would have made 5, which was what the call calls for, was 9 minutes. That would have been too much time for Matt. That group of 3 that did come was only 15 minutes away from going to training, which meant Matt would have been 9 minutes. The reason Abby's doing this is so that that station is fully staffed, so that if an emergency happens, at least one unit will be there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Alan Goldberg. And after that is going to be Ronald Kaplan.
Thank you, Your Honor, City Council. My name's Alan Goldberg, and I live at 1011 Grand Isle Terrace in Palm Beach Gardens. And I know some of you on the committee and some of you on the board, but I've really never been involved in speaking before a group like this. And normally I probably would let someone else do it. But some of the eloquent speeches that I've heard, really I'm going to be redundant, but I'm going to tell you why I am here. I've been fortunate enough to live in paradise for the last 20 years in Ballin Isles. Fortunately for me, my children decided if I found this a wonderful home, they should move here. And so they moved here with their children, my grandchildren, and then my son moved down here. And then a couple of weeks ago, my daughter, who lives in Mirabella, called me and says, "Dad, we have a problem. We have an understaffed fire station." Now, I've been to that fire station. I've been to our fire station. As you all know, Ballin Isles has their own equipment, EMT services, and that's wonderful. I live in a very privileged community. But what happens to my grandchildren if they need a paramedic or a fire department and they're being called into Mirasol or being called into the shopping center, and all of a sudden there's a life-threatening situation? We are living in a world where things can happen. I hope that never happens here. This is our little corner of paradise. But if it happened once, the price we might have to pay would be very, very dear to all of us. I'm not certain of what the costs are. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not an accountant. I'm just a plain old grandfather. But what is the cost of one child's life or one father that isn't helped in time and dies on the way to the hospital? Again, you all know what I'm talking about. This is not a secret meeting. We're talking about Station 64. I am sorry to have to appear in front of you with a so-called complaint. It's not a complaint. It's just a method of awareness. But I guess people don't come here to say, "Wow, what a wonderful job. We just want to tell you everything's going great and don't do anything more." I've sat where you're sitting, so I'm aware of it. All I'm saying to you is please keep an open view. Why should we be treated, why should the northern end of our community be treated poorly? Thank you for listening. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your comments. Ronald Kaplan. And again, if we can try to refrain. And then after that is going to be Deborah Kaplan.
Yes, good evening. My name is Ronald Kaplan, 103 Via Condado Way, Palm Beach Garden.
Thank you.
It's so nice to see the faces that I have had some correspondence with in the last couple of months. Honorable Marcy Tinsley and the members of the City Council, a trend has arisen in our city government that has been disturbingly evident in the past few council meetings. When residents come to council to express concerns and opinions, differences from those of city staff or individual council members, they often are treated disrespectfully, even attacked for their point of view. One example at a recent meeting, some commenters expressed concerns about the Corey Jones case. Others were interested in the Northern County Airport runway extension, and a third group of city homeowners questioned the Shady Lakes Drive extension. Here's what transpired. The first two groups received courteous receptions. In fact, an out-of-towner member of the airport group was told he was welcome to come back up to the microphone if he had something else to say. To the contrary, the group of residents who requested additional time were put in their place, and with council members who responded like, "Sit down, you had your 3 minutes." Now we have city council saying they need flak jackets and helmets to meet with neighborhood residents who want nothing more than equal emergency services. We have a council member writing a letter to the newspaper attacking a resident directly for speaking up, and he didn't even have all the facts. We have a fire chief publicly asking a resident to quit bothering him for information on how our fire services are staffed. This has to stop. If a resident comes before you and criticizes one or your staff personally, they are rightly cut off immediately. But from the other side of the dais, some of you feel free to treat taxpayer residents with unbridged disrespect and derision. When we come before you on this issue of staffing Station 64, we are here just for one reason: to make the city a better city. Our elected officials or staff are to be applauded for directing the city to where it is today. But it is people who make the city great. It is residents and neighborhood associations that have built and maintained the developments of which we are so proud. It is local business leaders and entrepreneurs who built South Florida's finest mall and made it as a nationally recognized center. It is tax-paying residents who pay the bills and support leagues and families that enjoy our ball fields and parks. It is time to turn this relationship around. We are not in competition with the city officials. We are your customers. Our city is proud of its high-quality service, but a chain is only as strong as its weakest link. Without proper staffing at Station 64, we in the West are the weak link. We deserve and demand better. I have for you, for your perusal records, over a few hundred signatures and 197 online signatures and petitions. And maybe those residents in this room who are in favor of seeing a fully staffed Firehouse 64 safety, please stand up. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. If you can please turn in your petitions to the city clerk. Deborah Kaplan. And after Deborah, it's going to be Joan Elias.
Hello, my name is Deborah Kaplan, 103 Via Condado Way, Palm Beach Gardens, Florida. I have a lot of bullet points here that have been addressed about Station 64, so to not be repetitive, I want to just say that our concerns are very important to all of us, our family members, our friends, to be able to rely on a fire department, and our safety is a major part of living in this area, and I request that you consider increasing the staffing as we have all asked. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. Joan Elias.
Joan Elias, 1009 Diamond Head Way. And I am one of the few people that get up here and say, you guys are great. I want to thank everybody for their concern and calls after the wonderful Shady Lakes meeting, of which I did get to finish my speech, but I finished it sitting down. And I want to thank everybody for your concerns. And I just got high blood pressure. I don't know how you guys can sit there all the time and not get it too. Thanks again to everybody.
Thank you, Joan, and we are just so glad that you're doing well. Okay, that concludes the comments from public. Now we're going to go to the city manager report.
Well, there's so many issues that are associated with this whole Station 64 staffing. It's going to be difficult for me to address all of them here tonight that have been brought up, but just go back a little bit so some of you will recall and have heard this before. Just want to reiterate so that you'll understand where we're coming from. The City of Palm Beach Gardens has never, ever knowingly placed anyone's life, safety in jeopardy. The budget cuts and reductions of staff years gone by were done after careful calculation by the chief and the staff, and determining, based upon the levels of calls, what stations could be reduced in order for us to be able to survive budget cuts in the time of need. At the time that we started to recover, I and the chief got together and basically said, I fully expect us to be able to bring our staffing back up to level. He says, me too. I said, well, go do your study, give me some data, show me, so we can go to the council and we can justify bringing staffing back up. Well, when we got together with staff, we looked at the justification and found that the call volume did not at that time warrant the additional staffing. So we said, here's what we'll do. Our plan of action is to increase staffing at Station 5, which was having more calls at that time than Station 4. Correct me if I'm wrong. And what we will do is we rely on the staffing at level at Station 5 to augment 4 because it's a straight shot across Hood Road to be able to help in that regard. And in case we're making a mistake, and in case we're wrong, in case we're missing something, let's go back and look at 64, their calls, and let's look at the future. Let's look at the future and see what's going on there as well. So that's when we approached the council at budget time. We had these discussions, and they agreed. If you don't have the call volume at that time to justify the additional staffing or overtime, then we agree. Let's do the study and let's find out what's going on and let's plan and do whatever it is that we need to do. The issue became, and is still today, one of geography. When you have to travel from the station to point A, B, or C in the location, it takes a certain amount of time to get from point 1 to point 2. I can put 3 people in a rescue unit and 2 more in a fire engine, and they're still going to get there at the same time. And when you talk about, and it doesn't matter how many people. So my conversations with the chief is maybe the station's in the wrong place. Maybe we should be moving the station because of the time that it takes to travel in that district. So let's do the study. Let's get them to take a look at this thing. Maybe we need to move more than one station. Maybe we need to look at all of the people who are coming into this city in the northern part over in Alton. All of that. We need to look at the ALFs, what kind of demand that's going to put us. Maybe we need more stations. Maybe we need more equipment. Maybe we need more people. But we need to plan for that. And no, it's not all about money. It's about justifying the expenditures. That's what we do on the business end. You're on the emotional end. We're on the business end. I can't come to this council and tell them that we want to spend money on additional staffing and or overtime if I can't justify it. We're responsible for the expenditures taxpayer dollar, and that's what we do. Every time we have these meetings and people come here, they tell us about the success of what our fire medics do. We got great fire medics. We got great firefighters. They do a wonderful job. And they're successful. There are a lot of other issues that I could take hours to discuss here. But the fact of the matter is, and I think the big key that we're forgetting is it doesn't matter at this point. Now, let me rephrase it. It matters, but if I put 3 people on a box, 2 people on an engine, the time doesn't get reduced. But if we just want to throw money at the problem and people at the problem, we can do that. I find that irresponsible until I can justify that. And if I did it and you were on the other side, you might be here saying, why are you throwing money at a problem and you don't even know if it's going to fix it? So it's my responsibility to justify my actions and my requests to the council. Things change over the year, and it may very well justify the fact that we need to look at increasing staffing maybe not just at 64, maybe at 65. Or maybe we need another station and we need to staff it too. But we need a plan. We need a strategy. There's no one in jeopardy at this time. There's no evidence of that whatsoever. We have evidence of success at responding. And there's no guarantee in any station in this city that that engine or that rescue unit is going to be there when the bell rings. It may be answered from another station because that station could be in training. It could be on another call. And maybe both stations are busy. And it has to come from another station. That's a citywide response system. We have the same system in place for the police department. They have zones, but their cars and their officers move from zone to zone based upon whatever action or activity is going on at the time. They can't dare guarantee you they're going to be in the zone when you call. They might be somewhere else along the city. It's the same system, and it's made so that it's backed up. They back each other up. I understand your frustration. I'm frustrated too. I want the study to be over. I want to know what it is that I have to plan for and I have to budget for now and for in the future. I don't have the answer right now, and I want the answer, and that's why we're doing the study. I could go on, but I have a feeling you don't want me to, by the way.
Well, no,
But it's frustrating for us just simply by closing. It's frustrating for us too. We want the same thing you want. We want it just as bad as you want. But I'm on the business end and justification end, and I got to make sure that what we do is right because it is taxpayer dollars. It is your dollar. And you want me to be very careful with your taxpayer dollars, as we have always been. It isn't for lack of caring. It isn't for lack of listening. We just need to have the answers so that we can address the issue properly. And it may not be staffing. It might be location, or it might be both. You might be absolutely right. I'm not so sure that you're totally wrong when it says we need additional staffing, but I don't know that yet. I don't have data to be able to bring me to that conclusion, to let the council know that I have data that shows that we need to do A, B, C, D, and E right now, and E, F, G, H in next year and the next year in order for us to keep up with the level of service. We have not had any evidence of a lack of level of service. None. Zero evidence of that. So,
thank you, Ron. I do
I
have
know
another.
you want me to finish.
No.
But I could go on.
I appreciate your comments, but I do want to also have you comment on one other topic that was brought up, which was in regards to the independent audit and the independent study that's being done. I just want you to explain and or just corroborate that this is not the only department that has had an independent study. We do this from time to time in many departments. And in my opinion, it's a good idea to have an outsider's point of view, but I kind of wanted you to a little bit touch on that just very briefly.
Yes, we're continually doing self-evaluation, trying to figure out how we're providing services, how we can do it better for less. And frequently, throughout our department, all of the departments, the police department, engineering, public works, outside studies are very valuable to us because they give us an outsider's view of how we operate and how we're functioning and how we're delivering our services so that we can adjust our services so that they're better for our customers and our citizens, which are you. We have the reputation throughout this county as the one to go to if you want to find out how to do it right. We get referenced by other government agencies and entities. The IG refers people to us on purchasing techniques and the best management practices for how to set up a purchasing department. We get referrals about how to set up the best permitting process all of the time. And this is all because we get outside information as well as inside information, and we come up with our best solution. We do it outside consultants. I'm not wild about outside consultants. My staff will tell you that. But when I see a need for it, I do call on it for outside expertise to help us.
Okay, thank you very much. And I do want to ensure all of you that on behalf of the entire council that public safety is our #1 priority, and we will do what's right for sure in regards to that.
Before we go on, though, yeah, I'm seeing we have a perception problem. We have residents and a growing number of residents that think that we're not supplying the level of service that we should be. And Ron, I appreciate exactly what you're saying, and Chief, exactly what you're doing. You are providing beyond a minimum level of service. The city goes above and beyond, and Chief Stepp is here, and I'm sure somebody, Mike Morrow here, the Public Works people, no other city got their streets cleaned in 9 hours after a hurricane. But this is the city of Palm Beach Gardens, and we do things better. And we have here a series of residents that all stood up here, and I think this is becoming a growing and growing number. I'm concerned that people don't think that we're providing them the level of service that they deserve. And, you know, the sooner that we address this.
Well, David, one of the things that I want to also comment, because I think that we are communicating, we received numerous emails in regards to both our fire department and our police, a lot of accolades that the staff shares with us. But Chief just put, or somebody, I thought it was a chief, but maybe it's somebody else, put on our website a very nice little video, I guess you call it, and there's a hyperlink on the front page of our website, pbgfl.com, and it's in regards to this very topic. I really encourage everyone who's interested to visit that webpage. For all I know, it's on Facebook, but I'm not sure. But website, it's right there on the, YouTube, it's on that too. But anyway, it is out there. I know Chief Southard, Chief Ippolito did a wonderful job explaining how our fire department works in a comprehensive manner. And I would, even if you're not interested in this particular, it is interesting for all to know. So that's one step in the education process. In addition, I think Ron has started the information or communication information process by going to the HOAs that have been inquiring about this, and they're posting this and information on their TV channels if they have them, and through the HOAs. I know that that's been done as well. So let's kind of move on. We do have to get through this agenda. So we are going to go to...
Marcy, before you move on, I'd
yes.
like to make one comment.
Sure.
First off, I'd like to say thank you to everyone. I hear your passion. We read all the emails that you send. The one thing that I think is important to note about the study is that, as Abby said to me on the phone today, you know, you have the numbers. But what the study, if I'm not mistaken, is also taking into consideration things that aren't numbers. It's taking into future build Alton. It's taking in the ALFs. It might be even taking in all aboard Florida and how that's going to affect Station 65 and Station 64. So I think that while we're all want an answer immediately, I think in order for us to really get the right answer, we need to do a little bit more homework. But I hope you all will be just a little bit more patient.
That's a very good point, Maria. Thank you very much for bringing that up. That's true. I forgot, but that's very important to know. Okay, moving on. Do you have any other items that you'd like to speak?
Yes, I did have one announcement.
Okay, sure.
I did have one more announcement. The 9th Annual Palm Beach Cup being presented by the Palm Beach Soccer Academy will be Friday through Sunday. The interesting thing about this, there are 170 soccer teams in the city, 2 of them coming from Haiti. They'll be at Gardens Park, Lake Catherine, Lilac, Mirasol, PGA National, and you'll see a whole bunch of activities going on with that soccer tournament coming up. Also, with all the work that has been done on the Shady Lake Extension and the 117th in an extraordinary small amount of time with staff, I would also like to call out Jack Downey and David Reyes, who did a yeoman's job on helping Todd with getting those plans done. This is not the thing that they do for a living, but they jumped right in and helped out, and I appreciate your efforts, guys.
And David, good job on the graphics. for not being a graphics person. You did an excellent job. We appreciate that. Okay, is that complete your report? Okay, wonderful. So we're going to move on to the consent agenda. Do we have any motions?
I happily move the consent.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Motion carries 5-0.
1/17 is moving.
Yes, it is. Thank God. Well, thank
And
staff.
congratulations to Patty for Municipal Clerk Week. You earned it this week.
Very good. Okay, we are moving on to the public hearing portion of our agenda. I do want to remind everybody, this is the last chance to fill out a card if you want to do so for the next portion of our agenda. We have a lot of cards up here, and this will be ending that comment period. So last chance, cards are over there on the table to my right, your left. Please turn them in to Patty, and then we're going to be taking the cards and closing that portion. So please do that. Okay. Tonight we are holding a quasi-judicial hearings on the following cases. Resolution 31, 2016, site plan approval. Ordinance 4, 2016, second reading and adoption, Avenir. And Resolution 4, 2016, Avenir. This means that the City Council is required by law to base its decisions on the evidence contained in the record of this proceeding, which consists of the testimony at the hearing, the materials which are in the official city file on this application, and any documents presented during this hearing. The Council is also required by law to allow cross-examination of any witnesses who testified tonight. Cross-examination may occur after the staff, the applicant, and other participants have made their presentations and will be permitted in the order of the witness's appearance. If it's necessary that anyone who testifies at the hearing remain until the conclusion of the hearing in order to be able to respond to any questions. If you plan to testify this evening or wish to offer written comments, please fill out a card and give it to the city clerk over there on my left. The city clerk will now swear in all persons who intend to offer testimony this evening on any of these cases.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I'd like the record to note that Joe Russo was sworn in.
Okay.
Welcome back, Joe. Do you got your tomatoes ready?
Oh, I didn't even see you there. Hello. Okay. Moving on to Resolution 31, 2016. Would the clerk read the title, please?
Resolution 31, 2016, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Palm Beach Gardens, Florida, granting site plan approval for a 3.5-acre community recreation and fitness facility located within the northeast corner of residential parcel E in the Alton Development of Regional Impact, DRI, Planned Community Development, PCD. The subject site is approximately 3.5 acres within the 45.63 acre parcel E within the 681-acre PCD and is more particularly located at the intersection of Alton Road and Grandiflora Road as more particularly described herein, providing conditions of approval, providing an effective date, and further purposes.
Thank you. I'm going to open the public hearing. And does anyone have any ex partes? Anyone? None. None? And Eric, none. I have none. Okay. Petitioner presentation.
Good evening, Madam Mayor. For the record, Donaldson Hearing, and I have been sworn. I'm here tonight on behalf of the Coulter Group and Coulter Homes. With me this evening is John Sapo as well as Scott Morton. I know that you've got a long agenda, so I'm going to really shorten this because I think that you probably understand what we're proposing here. Just real quick, the location is a 3.5-acre site, more or less, right at the terminated vista of Grandiflora and Alton Road, and this will be the recreation center for the east side of the Alton project to serve the new residential communities under construction. This is the site plan. This, again, 3.6 acres right on Alton Road. Alton Road now has been constructed to Grandiflora, and Grandiflora currently terminates at the site. Very, very nice site amenity, wonderful building, large outdoor canopies. Building sits right at the terminated vista of Grandiflora. Our amenities include a very large pool, as well as a fitness pool with laps, as well as pickleball and tennis and basketball court. We also have volleyball and outdoor play areas as well. Very, very nice facility, and you have the plans with you. These are the renderings of the elevations. Of course, in keeping with some of our forward-leaning architecture, this is a contemporary style. Very, very nice. Very similar to some of the homes that you've seen out there. This is the front elevation as it would be viewed at the terminated vista on Grandiflora. These are the side elevations. And then here's a rendering that kind of gives you a perspective of what the overall facility will look like. We're excited to bring this forth. We're quite successful out there to date, and looking forward to go ahead and bringing this out so it's available to the residents as soon as possible. With that, I'll conclude my presentation, and I'm more than happy to answer any questions.
I think that was the briefest presentation you've ever made in the history of Palm Beach Gardens. Wow.
You have it.
For that, you could clap. Okay, does anybody have any questions?
I have a couple of questions, but you're a great mayor. I could never get him to be that quick.
Thank you, Don.
Don, because this is a beautiful facility, the rendering is wonderful. My only concern is, and you guys make me comfortable with this is not going to take away from any economic development land, is it?
Oh, no, this is actually within the residential parcel. It's not located in Parcel B.
Okay.
Maria?
I just wanted to say to Don and John, thank you for pickleball.
Yeah, see?
You saw that the city has changed some of their courts to now become pickleball courts. Ballin Isles has pickleball courts now, so thank you for including that.
And Don, you're going to make a special invitation to Steve Matheson to play pickleball out there.
Or show us not how to play pickleball.
Yeah. And Eric, Bert, do you have any comments or questions?
Nope. Great
Okay.
job. And
Wonderful.
thank you, Don, for the short presentation.
Yes, sir.
Very good. Thank you, staff. I guess we don't have any other questions here. Staff, do you have a presentation?
Staff recommends approval of Resolution 31.
Okay, perfect.
Mover. Go ahead.
I don't have any one wishing to speak for this item, so we are going to close the public hearing and bring this for a motion or a discussion.
Move Resolution 31,
2016.
2016.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, and all in favor?
Aye.
None opposed? I see. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
And for the future, never mind.
Okay, next we have Ordinance 3, 2016 for second reading. Would the clerk please read the title?
Ordinance 3, 2016, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Palm Beach Gardens, Florida, approving a large-scale amendment to its comprehensive plan in accordance with the mandates set forth in Chapter 163 Florida statutes, specifically Section 163.3184 et sequences Florida statutes, pursuant to application number CPMA-13-07-000016, which provides for an amendment to the future land use map in order to change the land use designation on 4,763 acres from rural residential RR10 and rural residential RR20 to mixed-use development MXD, to relocate the urban growth boundary UGB in order to include the subject property, providing a notation on the future land use map pertaining to the permitted land use densities and intensities related to the subject property, providing for a text amendment to the future land use element by amending Objective 1.1.1, Future Land Use Categories, Policy 1.1.2.8, Urban Growth Boundary, UGB, Policy 1.2.4.1A2, and Policy 1.2.4.4B in order to amend the urban growth boundary to include certain real property located on the north side of North Lake Boulevard, east of Grapeview Boulevard, west of Bay Hill Drive, and south of Beeline Highway, providing for compliance with all requirements of Chapter 163 Florida statutes, providing for transmittal to the Florida Department of Economic Opportunity, DEO, providing a conflicts clause, a severability clause, and authority to codify, providing an effective date and for other purposes.
After the reading that, I think we should expand Municipal Clerk Week to 2 weeks.
Okay. Thank you. We're doing a little powwow here on having the two ordinances at a time.
Been a long road, hasn't it?
I'm going to open the public hearing. And does the petitioner have a presentation?
We do, Madam Mayor. Good evening. Yes.
Just before you begin,
Yes,
just
sir.
as a matter of housekeeping, one of the things I was discussing there, we're going to incorporate all the comments from Ordinance 3 and Ordinance 4 into Ordinance 4's public hearing as well. So when everybody speaks, even if it's on Ordinance 3, if you're addressing comments that may relate to Ordinance 4, please state that you were sworn in so that the record might be complete.
And thank you
And
for
the resolution as well.
Thank you for saying that. That's okay. I was going to do that at the end, but I appreciate you doing it ahead of time.
I just want to stop Ken before you start that he was sworn in.
Well, good evening, Mayor, City Council members. My name is Ken Tuma. I have been sworn in. My address is 610 Clematis Street, West Palm Beach, Florida. My presentation tonight will be less than 1 minute. I have 106 slides if you'd like to see them all.
Wait a minute. Between you and Don and this Cinco de Mayo
Record-breaking.
stuff, where are you guys going?
I think,
What are you doing?
I think, Mr. Primarosa, we all know who usually wins the talking contest. So this is a second hearing and adoption on a land use amendment, and the second amendment and adoption. It was transmitted by you to the Department of Equal Opportunity, and that department has given its agreements with our proposal. The only thing that has changed since that time, Department of Economic Opportunity, by the way, the only thing that has changed since that time is that the numbers have been updated within the item. The net reduction of 735 units. We've updated the level of services. All the paperwork that's in your 500-page backup has all been updated. And again, we appreciate everyone's time tonight. I want to take just 1 minute to thank everyone. You all have been great on this project, working with each one of you. Everyone in the audience, our 150 public outreach meetings, our 3 specific outreach meetings, our client who's back here, they've done a wonderful job. Of course, our whole team and your city staff has worked with us entirely through this project to get us to where we are tonight. I appreciate your time, and that is my presentation. Thank you.
Wow, another shocker. Okay. Staff, do you have a presentation?
Yes, Mayor, we do. It will be brief as well. Good evening, Dawn Sonneborn with Planning and Zoning, and I have been sworn in. This is for Avenir Ordinance 3, 2006, second reading. This is a review process for Ordinance 3. Basically, what's in yellow is what's happened since the first reading for this ordinance on January 6th of 2016. I will explain this a little bit further, but you can see the steps that have been taken. And then tonight we're at second reading and adoption for the ordinance. The request has not changed from what you saw on first reading. This is the request. I won't read through it, but it has not changed. The proposed future land use map has been updated. The notation is on the map. It was revised based on the motion that was made at first reading to lower the single-family dwelling units from 3,735 to 3,000, and then to raise the professional office accordingly, increase that from $1,000,008 to $1,194. And that relates to no new net trips. So you'll see here the notation on the future land use map has been updated accordingly. And the level of service analysis for all the various elements that you see listed here, there's been a slight adjustment to the numbers, a slight tweaking to those numbers to be consistent with the change due to the motion. And as I said, first reading, there was the motion to make the change. And then after first reading in January, on January 19th, the city transmitted the amendment to DEO and the other agencies under their expedited state review. And then in February 19th, the Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council, they voted to approve and transmit the amendment package to DEO. And then on February 23rd, the city received the DEO review letter, and that was dated February 19th, which identified no adverse impacts for the amendments. The public notice, the ads, the mailed notices, and the signs have been completed as required per code. And the proposed amendments, they are consistent with the Florida statutes, Chapter 163, the State Comp Plan, and the City of Palm Beach Gardens Comprehensive Plan. Therefore, staff does recommend approval of Ordinance 3 as presented and based on the following findings of fact. The proposed amendments are consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the City Comp Plan, the State Comprehensive Plan, and the Regional Strategic Policy Plan. The proposed amendments, the proposed amendment to the future land use map and the text amendments that have demonstrated that the proposed development does meet the level of service standards for all service providers. And the proposed changes to the map are compatible with the surrounding areas based on the proposed low residential density at 0.68 DUs per acre and the preservation of the conservation area that's 2,407 acres that will have a positive impact on the region. That's it for Ordinance 3.
Okay, finished? Okay, does anybody have any questions for staff? Seeing none, I'm going to go to the public comments. Just so you guys know, I have approximately an hour and a half worth of comments if we keep it at 3 minutes. So I'm going to start. I do have some that say read only, but I'll ask you once I call your name if you want me just to put those into the records, and I will do so. We're going to start with Joe Russo, and the next person after that will be Beth Kegel. And this is our former mayor and council member.
I'd like to make a motion to limit Joe's comments to 5 seconds.
You know, I'm upset as it is tonight, okay, with Ken Tuma and Don Herring. When I was up there, they used to talk an hour and a half. Now they're up here only speaking a minute. I didn't think I was going to speak first, but I just want to relay.
Before you start, name and address for the record.
Is that what you say first? Thank you. Mayor Joe Russo, 48 Somerset Terrace, Palm Beach Gardens. And Mayor, you're doing a great job.
Thank you, Mayor.
I'm telling you, it's awesome. I
And
can't
were you
believe
sworn
this.
in?
Yes, I have been sworn
I was
in.
going to get to
I
that,
stood up.
guys.
But you know what? You didn't say on Ordinance 3 you had to be sworn in. So
Well,
you
actually,
said
the reason
4.
that I'm saying that is because on a lot of our cards, they're not mentioning Ordinance 3 or Ordinance 4, so
I
I'm glad
stood
you
up
brought
and I
that
was
up.
sworn
I
in.
just want to make sure that we cover all of our
Let me just go quick
bases.
before my time gets by. I want to thank both Commissioner Marcus and her sustainable group and the petitioner. They asked me to go to a meeting around a few weeks ago. I would think it was the middle of April. To talk about the issues, to see if we could come up with any middle ground as far as going forward on the environmental issue. I will tell you this: it was a great meeting. Everybody worked real hard. The one thing I learned, it's so difficult because it's almost impossible because you got so many different people and agencies and so forth. I'm frustrated that we weren't able to get an agreement, but I'm encouraged because I believe the petitioner and the group will work together, and with the talent on both sides, they will be able to work together to make sure this set aside, the conservative gets done the right way and so forth. So that's all I wanted to report to you. It's almost like a reporting committee report that I would normally have as my, and the funny part, as you well know, that would also be my, what do they call those things anymore? I don't forget, my Ex parte. Thank you very much. See, I never did an ex parte, and as you know, I never met with a developer before this, and I did meet with them. Great people, and Karen's organization is great, and I know at the end of the day, it's gonna be a good, that part of it. I wish you the best of luck. As you know, I said I would never come here and tell you what to do, and I'm not here telling you what to do tonight. But I just wanted to relay that meeting, and I think it was a great meeting. And I think all the parties are going to come together, and I'm still going to work on that with them if they allow me to, because it's part of my recovery process of withdrawing from the addiction of elected office. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much for your comments, and thank you also for doing that, meeting with everybody, and we appreciate that to see this through. Great.
Oh, you remember that time that you went out to the golf course and they charged you as a non-resident?
And I actually, at first, I thought this was the Joey Russo, not Joe Russo. So you need to put, right, exactly. We have to start differentiating between you two. Beth, thank you. And just real quick, after Beth, it's going to be Commissioner Carol Roberts. Thank you, Beth. Name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of the Council and Administration. Beth Keegle, President and CEO of the Northern Palm Beach County Chamber of Commerce. 5520 PGA Boulevard, Suite 200, Palm Beach Gardens, 33418. And just so you know, I have been sworn in. Okay. Just so you know, I put 2 cards in. You can disregard the second card. I just wanted to be on the safe side. I also want to make sure I don't talk any longer than Ken Tuma or Don Hearing did. That would be bad for our chamber, so I will not do that. But I also, before I get started, I have to say that I, too, am Palm Beach North, as are all of you and everyone in here, because it touches all of your lives, I'm sure. I just wanted to make just a brief few comments just to thank the city, particularly city staff, for the tremendous job that they have done in working through this process with Avenir, as well as Avenir itself. We, as the Chamber, believe this is a phenomenal project, a great addition to Palm Beach North. Very excited about the actual 2,400 acres of conservation lands, the economic development lands that have been donated to this. And we're just very excited about moving forward. And we believe that this is one of the best development and community partners that we've seen in the region. So just wanted to reiterate our support for the project. Looking forward, hopefully, to a favorable vote tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your comments. Commissioner Roberts, welcome to our city.
Thank you very much. It's good to see all of you, and some of you are really old friends. I'm here tonight. First of all, Carol Roberts, and my address is 6708 Pamela Lane in West Palm Beach.
And you've been sworn in.
And I have been sworn in.
Thank you.
I'm here because even though I don't live in this wonderful city, I am a resident of Palm Beach County. And the project here tonight is truly a project that I believe you have an opportunity, a unique opportunity, to improve the quality of life for all of us in Palm Beach County. That water flow through the conservation area is something that truly is going to make my life and the life of most everyone here in Palm Beach County improve tremendously. So I really want to thank you for what you're doing. I lived through that particular development when it wasn't in Palm Beach County, and I can remember how difficult it was, and you've had a very difficult job. So I think I'm here tonight just to say thank you. I wasn't here for the first reading. I was taking advantage, and I should tell Joe, that it's fun to travel when you no longer have public office. And I was actually in West Africa during the first hearing. So I really wanted to thank you for all that you're doing for all of us here in Palm Beach County for improving the quality of life here. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments. Okay, next we have David Vigler. And is that Rabbi? I wasn't sure if that was you or not. There you go.
Hi.
David.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much. My name is David Vigler. I'm the rabbi at the Chabad of Palm Beach Gardens. That's at 6100 PGA Boulevard, Palm Beach Gardens, 33418.
And you've been sworn in?
I don't think so, actually, no.
Patty?
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. Thank you. I just wanted to say that, just express support for this very exciting project. I believe that it's smart growth for a smart city, very carefully calculated. It's exciting to see the calculations that have been put into this from the conservation side. The commercial space usage is very, very creative. Very, very excited about that. And I just wanted to express the support of our community for this very smart project. Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi. Drew Martin. And after Drew is going to be Rick Sartori.
I believe I do need to be sworn in.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. I'm Drew Martin. I live in 1015 North M on Lake Worth, and I'm here as representative of the Sierra Club. And I guess I'm going to be the rain on everybody's parade because the Sierra Club does not support this development. However, we do commend the developer for putting into the plan the water coming across the northern portion. However, because of the way it's written, I don't think there's a solid protection. And that's my concern. That's my first concern. My second concern is I think this is way too intense. It's still way too intense. I think the original number of homes should have been what the town went with. I do not agree with the commercial. And the reason I don't is because I don't think North Lake Boulevard or the B line, however this traffic is going to be sent, is really going to support commercial. And a lot of people argue that by having commercial, that somehow people are going to stay home. They're not going to go on road trips, and I just don't think that's true. First of all, people don't tend to live near where they work, and they don't tend to shop near where they live. I mean, that's unfortunate, but it's just true. A lot of people tend to get in their car and drive if they think they can get a better deal somewhere else. The other thing I'm concerned about is this is substantially wetlands, and this area would have been almost all wetlands, except, of course, it's been drained and impacted over time. But the reality is you are taking an area that should remain wetlands and be restored as wetlands, and you're still putting some substantial development on it. You may save some of it, although I'm not sure with the way it's set up that you will be able to protect it. I'm not sure that another person, if they flip this project to another developer, that they're not going to come in and ask you for changes, and they're not going to protect the amount of land that's in there today. And I don't know if there's any way that can be guaranteed. It would be nice if it could be guaranteed. I also don't think there's any way North Lake Boulevard will ever handle this traffic. We're talking about, some people say 8 lanes, 6 lanes, 10 lanes, 12 lanes. I've heard all kinds of things. I think what you're doing is changing the entire way that your town is. You're taking a town that was focused on being on the eastern section, east of I-95, where that was where you were putting your commercial, and now you're moving the activity over to the other side, out into areas that are basically residential and very high-end protected residential. And now you're moving a very intense development out there, which I don't think in the long run is going to be good for your city, and I don't think it's going to be good for the county. There can be something out there, and we don't oppose anything, but we do oppose anything as intense as this current development. So I hope you will vote no. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Rick Sartori. And after Rick is going to be Sandra Foland.
Mayor, council, city leaders, Rick Sartori, 130 Santa Barbara Way in Palm Beach Gardens. I have been sworn in, and my comments address both Ordinance 3, 4, and Resolution 4. I do serve as Executive Vice President of the Northern Palm Beach County Chamber of Commerce. You heard our support from Beth Keegle, our CEO, earlier tonight. I'm here not only as a 28-year resident of the city of Palm Beach Gardens, but a native of Palm Beach County and born in West Palm Beach. We have the ability to, in the last major parcel in this city, to work on what could be a model for the rest of the county, the rest of the state, on not only how to develop smart, but to work with developers, with our staff, our council. All the partners are involved. I think this is a tremendous opportunity as a resident for us to say this is the right way to do it. The conservation area is great. All the things about this project are great. Just want to pass that along. All the developments that are currently going on in the city of Palm Beach Gardens are first class, and that's why I remain here for 28 years after I first moved here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And thank you also for being so specific on your card as to what you're speaking to. That was very nice, thoughtful. Okay, Sandra Boland, thank you.
Good
Welcome.
evening, Commissioners and Mayor. My name is Sandra Foland. I live at 5631 Whirlaway Road in Palm Beach Gardens. I'm a resident of Palm Beach Gardens for 35 years and a business person for 35 years. My support of this project...
Have you been sworn in? Sorry.
I have been sworn in.
Thank you.
Missed that one. My support of this project comes from learning about the project, talking to the businesses, and learning about what effect it will have on Palm Beach Gardens. This is nothing but a quality project by quality people, and thank you for your vote tonight.
Thank you very much. Next is Rick Rickennis, and after that is going to be Jack Weir.
Honorable Mayor and City Council people, my name is Rick Rickennis, 13081 Southeast Green Turtle. That's in Tequesta, but I am a North County, and I have been sworn in, but I am a North County stakeholder and really enjoy North County. And I will just say one more time, you guys do it right. You guys do a great job. Palm Beach Gardens is the envy of, Palm Beach County and how you do things. Your staff has done a great job with this. You've got a great partner in the development for this, which should be the crown jewel of many, many decades of development of Palm Beach Gardens for all the reasons that people have discussed before. And great job. So looking forward to seeing this thing happen. Thank you
Madam
Thank
Chair,
you
point of privilege.
very much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor, Mrs. Mayor, Mayor Havlicek, wherever you are.
Mayor. West Palm Beach, yes. Thank you. And thank you for saying that. Jack?
Good evening. Jack Weir, 5604 PGA Boulevard. I have been sworn in, and I'm speaking on ordinances 3 and 4 and resolution 4. I'm also a 20-plus year resident of Palm Beach Gardens. One of the major benefits of what Avenir has to offer is on the environmental side. And it's really a function of the density or lack thereof, as we've seen. Over half the site is going to be dedicated for conservation. That's extraordinary from a development standpoint. It will actually boost the percentage of conservation area within Palm Beach Gardens. On the one hand, the project is a large project, 33,250 with accompanying commercial and civic and school uses. But on the other hand, the density is very low. It's 0.67 residences per acre. And the fact that the project is the size gives it the economic clout to do the type of environmental benefits that we're looking at. So the restoration of the wetlands water flow has really been a dream, and it's being privately funded, in effect, through the development here. So from an environmental benefit standpoint, this is a huge plus. From a traffic standpoint, as reported in the Palm Beach Post, the development group has signed a proportionate share agreement with the county, $105 million in impact fees, and they'll get credit for $61 million in improvements. To put that in perspective, that's almost $19,000 per residence what they're spending, and the overall benefit to not only Palm Beach Gardens and North County is over $32,000 a unit. Again, extraordinary. And I know there have been concerns expressed by certain county officials about the amount of traffic. Of course, the county's also approved Minto West and did a preliminary approval on GL Homes. So Palm Beach Gardens is the group that stands to benefit here, and the development will be wholly in Palm Beach Gardens. There's no plausible alternative that would provide these type of benefits. Before, we were at 400 ranchettes. That's the zoning right now. So I think you have a pretty clear indication on how the development will proceed by how this development group has responded. They've been open. They've met with people with opposing viewpoints. They've worked intensively with staff. They've refined their proposal. They've compromised. And that's been reflected in the fact that you've got a positive staff approval. So there's always going to be impacts, but I think in this case the benefits far outweigh the impacts. And if you look at the whole package, it's ironic to channel Bernie Sanders, but this is pretty good. So I urge you to vote for approval and follow the staff recommendation. Thanks.
Thank you very much for your comments. Sean Mitchell. And after Sean is going to be Gary Alexander.
Madam Mayor and Commissioners. Sean Mitchell, business address 1001 West 15th Street, Riviera Beach. I did take the oath, yes, ma'am. I represent thousands of trade unions and construction workers. I've never seen a plan that is, we have a saying in the construction business, proper planning prevents poor performance. The developers here I've never seen do more diligent work as far as the quality of what they're going to build, the opportunities that they set aside for the water and for conservation. I just see it as a major plus. I know that a lot of the residents that I represent that live in Palm Beach Gardens are chomping at the bit to build here and be able to stay home and build in their own city. So we 100% support this, and we thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Alexander.
I think you need to re-swear me. I may have been
no problem.
Out of the room. Thank you.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. Good evening. I'm Gary Alexander. I am a former resident of PGA. I'm still a taxpayer and property owner in PGA.
An address for the record, please.
Gary R. Alexander, and the address is on my form at 9060 Lakes Boulevard, West Palm Beach, Florida.
Thank you.
So I am still a taxpayer resident here in the city, owning a condominium, but I live in Ibis, further out on North Lake. And my initial objections go to the traffic, which has been discussed and what have you. I was hoping, and I thought Antonio did a great job about expressing respect by members of the council. I filed today with the clerk's office an objection to the hearing based upon the way the property was posted, and I hope all of you have had a chance to read my one-page letter with the copy that I attached of the sign, and maybe you could have started off the hearing by saying we did have an objection, but we are going ahead with the hearing because the remedy for not posting the property correctly is to have to do a redo of the hearing, which I don't want to do to the applicants and all the folks that have come out tonight. But having said that, as a matter of respect for the people who aren't here tonight on the biggest rezoning project that you've ever done, 4,500 acres, I think the property deserved proper posting. I'm assuming you have the letter. I have another copy to give to the clerk, and maybe somebody could make a ruling on why this hearing is proceeding with the way the property has been posted. There is no sign on Beeline at all, and it doesn't. And this has so many attributes of the different sections of posting. That's what I feel is improper about tonight's hearing. And I'm sorry to have to come at this late time after all these folks are here. And maybe it takes a court to say that to the city, but as a member of the Maryland, D.C., Virginia, and Florida Bar Associations, the reason for the notice is to get people to these hearings and allow them to know what's going on, especially with a mammoth project like this. And I think that you did not do a proper service by the way this was handled. I also have some questions. You mentioned cross-examination. I had some questions to ask. When is the cross-examination? This is a quasi-judicial.
This is your time to ask your questions and also to
So I can
speak.
ask a question of the applicant's witnesses?
Not ask questions, but this is your time to make your opinion, state your opinion.
I can only say something. I cannot ask questions.
Correct.
There is no cross-examination.
Correct.
Okay.
This is not there will be cross-examination, but
There
Max,
will
you
be.
can explain.
Could you explain the procedure to us so we know?
Certainly, I'll be happy to explain cross-examination. In accordance with Carrollton Community Residential versus Seminole County.
Could you slow down? I have a little trouble hearing.
In accordance with Carrollton Community Residential versus Seminole County, the parties in a quasi-judicial hearing are clearly established as the city and the applicant, and only the parties are allowed to cross-examine. Members of the public are allowed to testify and offer testimony. They can present evidence that can be taken into the record, and the applicant and the city are free to cross-examine people that offer testimony or present evidence, but people from members of the public that offer testimony or present evidence are not a party and therefore are not allowed to cross-examine.
All right. Well, I object to that ruling also. I believe that I am a party. I'm an aggrieved party, and I should be permitted to ask questions just like these folks.
Thank you very much for your comments. Max, could you also please tell me if this petition was properly posted and advertised?
Yes, ma'am, it was.
Thank you. Okay. The next person is Michelle DePotter. And I apologize if I mispronounced your name.
No, you pronounced it perfectly.
Oh,
thank you. Good evening, Madam Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members, and administration. I have been sworn in. My name is Michelle Anaya DePotter. I'm the Executive Director of the Associated General Contractors of America, Florida East Coast Chapter. Business address is 2617 North Australian Avenue, West Palm Beach. I will also disclose that I'm Don Herring's residential neighbor, so I'm going to follow his lead, and I'm going to keep my comments extremely short as well. I'm here to convey AGC's continued support of Avenir. AGC supports economic development through public-private partnerships. We support construction as a major economic driver. We support sensitivity to the environment, and we support responsible development and growth. Avenir has all these components to this project, and most importantly tonight, I'd like to commend the council, your staff, the development team, and everybody else who's worked so hard, including compromise, to get to where we are this evening, and we request your support of this project. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Okay, the next group of cards I have are, some of them say read only, and some of them have notes. I'm going to call everyone's name. If you just want me to put your comments or place your comments into the public record, I'm happy to do so. You can just state that. Or if you would like to come up and speak, please do so as well. The first one is Nancy Hart. Nancy's not here. Okay. The next one is Connie McGinnis. Is Connie here? Okay. We might be finished faster than we thought. Dee Sheehaw? Sheehan, sorry. Will do. I'll put it in the record. Thank you. Caesar Cabral? Put it into the record? Will do. Kyle Spurtis? Will do. And I apologize if I mispronounce people's names. I apologize for that. John Polis? Put it in the record. Will do. Put that in the record. Will do. Sean Mitchell? Is Sean here? Oh, okay. I guess he has two cards. We'll put that one into the record because there's some notes on it. Madison Cullum? We'll put it in the record. Thank you very much. Gary Satek? Okay, we'll put that one into the record. Bob Freen?
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. My name is Bob Freen. My address is 100 Village Square Crossing, Palm Beach Gardens. I have been sworn in. My comments are as a real estate executive in Palm Beach Gardens for 35 years. With the dawn of Palm Beach North, your approval tonight of this project will ensure that the city of Palm Beach Gardens remains the preeminent residential choice for people moving to Florida for the next 15 years. I urge your support. Thank you.
Thank you very much. This one is Beatrice Fajardo Toledo. Okay, I'll put it in the record. And the last card, and I apologize if I mispronounce again, the last one is Joan Elias. Okay, and we're looking forward to it.
Joan Elias, 1009 Diamond Head, and I have been sworn in. This is the final jewel, the crown of Palm Beach Gardens. I'm so excited about it, and when you all reach my age, you'll be as excited as I am. Thank you.
That was quick, too. Thank you very much. Okay, that was the
speak down here.
Okay, that was the final comment that we had for this item. I'm going to close the public hearing and bring it back for a discussion or a motion.
You know, it's a funny thing. I teach history, Florida environmental history. And throughout the history of Florida, we've made a bunch of development mistakes. One of the projects that I think that was such a horrible impact on our environment was Boca Ciega Bay in Pinellas County. And to think since the 70s when Leroy Collins was governor, who was our first governor that cared about the state and its environment, we've done a complete 180 degrees. And I know some of the people there, I know Ken Toom is kind of nodding his head because he knows what I'm talking about. We have really messed up a good portion of Florida, and here we have the opportunity to have a development that will correct some of the mistakes that we've made. I never thought that I could ever support any type of development on the Vavris Ranch that is now called Avenir. However, the developers that have come in here have worked with our community, have done a great job, have worked with the environmental community. I see a lot of environmentalists here, and I tell you what, that Drew Martin was actually, that was almost, I'm in favor of this, the way that he spoke, because he spoke about the good things in this, and he's a very staunch environmentalist. I see Joanne Davis in the audience here, who was an initial opponent of any development on this piece of property. So that tells you how far that we've come. And I will say this, and I know that Brian Seymour, who's also in the audience, will say that this is the East Coast version of Babcock Ranch, wouldn't you say? Which is a fantastic development, which has really worked out well. For that particular reason, and because of the great progress that we're made, and I am sure that we can shore up with Joe Russo's help, that the environment is going to be protected, that the 2,407 acres will be put into preserved land for us, and not just us, but our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren. We have come a long way in Florida since, I'm going to give another history quote, the Swamp Act of 1850 and Dyson's purchase of 4 million acres of land and the dredging of the Everglades and everything else. We have come a long way, and I would think that Leroy Collins, who was really the first environmental governor of the state, will be looking down at us proud of what we've done today.
Thank you. Maria, do you have any comments?
Comments, thank
Okay.
you. I just want to say those that came before us, this council here, Joe Russo, they were fabulous stewards of how our city has been built and the smart growth that they've had. And as this is, and as everybody has said, our last large developable parcel, wow, that's hard to say, developable parcel, it's up to us to be good stewards going forward. And what you've done here and the input from the environmental community, who seem to have left, you've done a great job of addressing everybody's needs and concerns. And after being at the BDB conference 2 weeks ago, and they were talking about commercial space and the need for it in the area, I think you've done a fabulous job in combining the commercial, the residential, and I know that as this gets built, it's going to be not just one portion over another portion, meaning not just homes. It's going to be a smart collection of all the different types of entities that we need. And I just want to say thank you for working with staff, and staff, thank you for working with the petitioners so well. And I know it's been a long process, and I'm actually new to this, as this is only my second meeting, but I've been here for a lot of these meetings and listened to the concerns of the public, and I want to thank everybody for addressing those concerns.
Thank you. Bert or Eric?
I'll go. Well, Joe, former mayor, you and I, when I'm off the council next year, we're going to sign up for David's history class at the college. So we're going to get all this knowledge firsthand, so we don't have to come to the meetings anymore. But yeah. My comments will be brief. I think I spoke last time on this in January about how, really, I guess overall how I'm impressed of not only the time frame, the 3-year time frame it took to kind of maybe put this all together, but the reach out to the community, really the quality team that you have put together to present every aspect of this project, whether it's the construction, the commercial, the recreation, the conservation. Everything you have done, I think, is really a model of how projects should be done of this magnitude within other pockets in the county, or if not the state or wherever. But We're so impressed with the team, working with our staff, who has not been lenient on their requests, I'm sure, for this project, and for you to follow through, to find a way to get it done, to reach out to the residents. All are not going to be in love with the project. We understand that. But I think what you've done in terms of the whole project and reaching out to the whole community around you and really being the last parcel of our city, which is, you know, in a way kind of sad because it's been a special part of this community not being developed for a long time. But the decision we make tonight, I think, is going to be one that's going to be an envy for what should be done for something like this in other pockets around the state. And I will support it, and I wish you luck. And I'm here in 20 years when it's done, so I can go out there and say what a great project it is, and proud that I was here to support it.
Well said, Bert. Eric?
Yeah, well, this is an historic occasion for all of us. I mean, we've spent a lot of time on this project. It is the last big project in the city, as we've all said. And because it is, we've spent a tremendous amount of time vetting it. Yeah, there are some things that I wrote down that people who came up to talk in favor of this said. One was the right way to do it. Other one is extraordinary. And Joni said it very succinctly when she said it's the jewel in the crown of the city's projects. And one of the reasons for all of the accolades, I think, is because of the other word I wrote down, and that's compromise. You guys have done such a great job in compromising with our staff, with us. I can't say enough good things about the way you've approached this. You've done a great job, and you deserve the kind of project that you're going to get. Because every project that comes into the city and has come into the city over the years has always gone out better than it came in. And that's testimony, basically, to the staff and the way they work with our petitioners and people who come to build in our city. And this certainly is a great example of that. So it's my pleasure, finally, to put my vote on top of all of my colleagues here to my right, because this has been a very joyous project for all of us. What didn't start out that way, but it ended that way. So good luck to all of you. I know it's going to be a great project, and I look forward to going out there and enjoying it as well. Thank you.
Thank you all very much. I know Max wants to say something, but right before that, I just wanted to say just a few comments. I'm not going to repeat what the council already stated, and they did a very good job in stating my opinion, which I appreciate because I couldn't have said it any better. But this is a long project. It's been planned for the last 3 years, I think, and I want to thank both the applicant and our staff for their hard work. I know it's not this exact petition, but when I read all of the conditions of approval over, I don't even know, 500 and whatever pages of it, I really, and I've read a lot of conditions of approval in my time, but I can tell that there was compromise, as Eric mentioned. And I also can tell that that our staff did a very thorough job in thinking and planning this project from start to finish. And those conditions and in the staff report, if one really wants to read it, I encourage you to do so, because there's a lot of information and a lot of hard work went into that on both sides, the applicant and our staff's time. And as I mentioned, it's a long project, but I want to encourage you to continue working towards the effort of going through the regulatory process with the intent of the water flow and everything else we've discussed in the first hearing. And I know that you guys will do it. You've done everything that you've promised so far, and that also that we've asked, so I appreciate that. And thank you very much for working with us, and I look forward to this project for the next 20 years. Thank you. And Max, I know you want to say something as well.
Yes, Madam Mayor, thank you. There were comments made about notice, and we said and confirmed for the council that notice was good and sufficient, and done in accordance with our codes, but I just wanted to offer a little more specificity on the record so that it's clear. Our code requires the applicant to provide not only post notice and mail out notices to any property owner within 500 feet, but it also requires them to complete an affidavit stating that they did so. We are in possession of that. It is in the record, and it is part of these proceedings. Also, we have a memorandum to file that is a part of this record and part of these proceedings for both, and this is for both ordinances 3 and 4 and resolution 4, that in accordance with our code, the growth management administrator can require varying types of notice as it relates to posting of the property due to site-specific issues or requirements. That was done in this case. There's a memo to file that talks about that. The growth management director is really our plan and zoning director. We changed the name of that job, but that's Ms. Crowley. She did that in accordance with her job. Attached to that memo is a depiction of where the signs were located in order to maximize notice to the public. And I wanted to make sure that that was on the record so that it was perfectly clear that all of these things were noticed in accordance with our code and state law. Also, they were properly noticed in the Palm Beach Post, the quarter-page ads, more than 5 days prior to this hearing, as is required by the law.
Thank you very much for that clarification.
I just have one quick question. I think Mr. Alexander was referring to a lack of a sign on Indian Town Road. Were we?
He was referring to Beeline.
Beeline. I'm sorry, Beeline.
Beeline Highway. Just very briefly, it's important to note that our code does require you to post on every frontage for every right-of-way. This property does not actually abut Beeline Highway.
Railway.
There is a right-of-way between that, and it's more than the property boundary is more than 230 feet from Beeline Highway, and so no, there was no necessity to post a notice or a sign on Beeline. If you posted this property on Beeline, you probably wouldn't even be able to see it. So, no.
Okay, I appreciate that clarification.
Thank you for the clarification. Okay, I'm going to bring this back to the council for a motion.
Madam Chair, move Resolution 31, 2016.
Second.
No, pardon me.
3.
Ordinance 3, 2016 on second reading and adoption.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries 5-0. Next, we have Ordinance 4, 2016. Would the clerk please read the title?
Ordinance 4, 2016, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Palm Beach Gardens, Florida, rezoning certain real properties, such property being comprised of 4,763 acres in size, more or less, and located on the north side of North Lake Boulevard, east of Grapeview Boulevard, west of Bay Hill Drive, and south of Beeline Highway, known as the Avenir PCD. Providing that this parcel of real property, which is more particularly described herein, shall be rezoned from Planned Development Area PDA District to Planned Community Development PCD, overlay with an underlying zoning designation of Mixed Use Development MXD District with the Conservation Preserved Land overlay on 2,407 acres, providing that the zoning map of the City of Palm Beach Gardens be amended accordingly, providing a conflicts clause and a severability clause, providing an effective date and for other purposes. Resolution 4, 2016 is a companion item to Ordinance 4, 2016 and will require council action. Resolution 4, 2016, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Palm Beach Gardens, Florida, approving the Avenir Plan Community Development PCD Master Plan and Development Standards consisting of 2,407 acres of conservation land, 3,250 dwelling units, 1,940,000 square feet of professional office, 200,000 square feet of medical office, 400,000 square feet of commercial, a 300-room hotel, 20 acres of agriculture, a 55-acre public park, a 60-acre civic recreation parcel, a 15-acre police, fire, city annex parcel, and a 15-acre public school site consisting of 4,763 acres more or less, with the site located on the north side of North Lake Boulevard, east of Grapeview Boulevard, west of Bay Hill Drive, and south of Beeline Highway, as more particularly described herein, providing conditions of approval, providing an effective date, and for other purposes.
Thank you. You need some water, I think. I'm going to open the public hearing. And does anyone want to declare any ex partes?
Yes. I met with the petitioner and staff, and that was yesterday. So, brief, good, and that's it.
Okay.
Since our last hearing, I've seen the petitioner several times. I've seen the representatives. I've also talked to various residents, who have been generally in support, and we've mostly talked about the wetlands.
Okay. Bert, any ex partes?
Since the last meeting, none, but I did see Brian Seymour on a plane to Atlanta last week, and I avoided him. Just FYI. He was in the front row, and I was in the back row of the plane, by the way, but I totally avoided him.
Good to know.
And thank you for that. You're
okay.
welcome.
Eric?
Yeah, since the last reading, I have met with Ken Tuma and Steve Matheson and staff. That's it.
Okay, and I do also have ex partes. I have met with the owners, applicants, and agents numerous times and spoke on this project several times during certain events. Thank you. Okay. Moving on, does the petitioner have a presentation?
No. Thank
wow.
you. Good evening.
Did you write that down first before you said it?
Just one thing, though. If there is public comment, we would request the opportunity to put the PowerPoint back up at the end if it comes up. Thank you.
Okay, and actually, we had all the public comments were actually already stated. We collected all the cards, and we did them all at the same time because some of the comments did not differentiate between Ordinance 3, Resolution, or Ordinance 4.
And we'll incorporate all of the testimony that's been offered at the beginning of the public hearing for Ordinance 3 into the public hearing for both Ordinance 4 and Resolution 4.
Okay. Dawn, do we have
Good
a
evening
presentation?
again. Yes, Dawn Sonneborn with Planning and Zoning, and I have been sworn in, and I will be very brief again. The request has not changed at all. The rezoning this is a rezoning map, hasn't changed at all. Again, this is the steps that have been taken. There's been a slight update to the master plan just to be consistent with the changes that occurred with Ordinance 3, which is the development chart there, and a couple of the critter crossings have been added. Again, this is exactly what has changed on the master plan and the development program. Again, this is the phasing that has been updated, consistent with Ordinance 3. For concurrency, the only update has been the proportionate share agreement has been entered into on May 3rd. Prop shares of roughly $105 million. The development standards have also been updated. It's strengthened a lot of the town center pedestrian connectivity. The permitted uses chart has been updated, so the general development standards have been updated and strengthened. The public notices and signs have been completed, required per code, and staff recommends approval of Ordinance 4, 2016, and Resolution 4, 2016 as presented.
Thank you very much. That was pretty quick. Okay, I'm going to close the public hearing, and I'm going to bring it back for a discussion or a motion.
Madam Chair, I move Ordinance 4, 2016 on second reading and adoption.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries 5-0.
Madam Chair, move Resolution 4, 2016.
Wait, I have to do my thing here. Open the public hearing, close it, and all that.
You're going to open this for that too?
So
Okay, sorry.
let me start with that. So I just want to mention on the record that the clerk has already read the title. So I'm going to open the public hearing, and I have to also declare any ex partes. Any?
The same as in Ordinance 4.
Same as before.
Same
Okay.
as before.
Same.
And I as well have the same. So we're going to cross that off the list. And does the petitioner have a presentation?
I'll practice again. No. Thank you.
You're earning your keep today, okay? I banged the gavel, but I didn't ask Dawn. Do you have a presentation? Okay, thank you very much. And now we're going to move on to close the public hearing, bang the gavel, and bring it back for a discussion or a motion.
Madam Chair, move Resolution 4, 2016.
Second.
Okay, great. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Great.
You can clap now.
Any opposed? No. Motion carries 5-0. Okay, thank you guys very much. Moving on to items for council action. Oh, you know what? We're going to do a little recess since we have a lot of people that probably don't want to stay, but we appreciate you coming to our meeting.
I think the people from Osprey out.
Okay, I would like to finish up this meeting. I know it's late and people want to get home, and I saw Patty has a stack as tall as me for things that I need to sign. So, moving on, we don't have any resolutions, items for council action and discussion.
Yeah, a couple of residents from Osprey Isles brought up something that does concern me, and I also have a phone call from Sal Faso, which is a detox center that's going to be built on a piece of property. It's 10 acres on North Lake Boulevard. I think that we need to find out whether this is going to be detrimental to our city. I would like the council to direct staff to contact the county and find out about this and what this land use is going to be, because it sits right on the border of our city. And I know also that we've got sober homes now that are popping up in the city, and we have become, for some reason, the detox center of the world in this county. And I think that this is a real concern. And I know the residents are rightly concerned about this, and I think that, especially with the new Avenir project, that we need to set a precedent to make sure that this is handled correctly. So with that, I don't know if I need a motion or just consensus will do.
Well, does anybody else want to talk about this or make any comments in regards to this subject?
We've gotten several emails. I'm sure you've gotten
I
emails
have.
from people who have concerns about their own neighborhoods, Garden Woods being one of them, and there are others as well. We have several sober homes in our city. I know that there are some in some of our larger communities like PGA National. I think there are one or two. And this has become a business. It's not just, and that's my concern when business gets involved and they're doing it for profit. They're not doing it basically for why the legislation was passed in the first place. So we do have to be aware of it, and I don't want to become the sober home capital of the world. We're not. Delray
Beach is I think personally that's just a personal
yeah,
thing.
it is. It's there have been articles written about it. Sun Sentinel, Palm Beach Post has exposed it as well. So it is a concern. I had read recently or seen on TV or somewhere that some of the regulations that enable this are being revisited. Yeah, and that the regulations may be tightened up. So I'd like our city attorney to take a look at that and maybe do some investigating on our behalf to see what we can do to protect the residents of the city against proliferation of this.
Bert?
Yeah, I'm just worried about the size of it from what the gentleman was saying tonight, the size of the facility. I mean, we're used to the residential neighborhoods where it might be 4 or 5 in a home, working within a neighborhood, and because of ADA laws and other stuff, we don't have a lot of regulations that we can control that. But the size of the facility is kind of scary out there. I mean, and I'm sure the other communities around there have to be kind of researching this too. So I don't know if the size exempts them from certain regulations or rules and allows them to do something as a commercial project. I don't know.
Or maybe it's the opposite. Maybe the size triggers some sort of an approval process or a public hearing process because of the size. But
have you heard about this? Have you heard? I have not heard about this project.
I've not.
Time today, Sal Faso called me, called you. Okay.
I agree, and I know Ron wants to talk about this. I think we do need to be good stewards of our city, as we always feel that way, and I want to encourage staff to look into this specific topic, see if there is anything that we can do, and I agree with your comments. And I also would like to potentially encourage if all of us, we all speak to our state representatives from time to time, and it's up to us to encourage them to button down the sober home legislation and so on, and we can keep talking about that. But Ron, I know you want to add a few comments. So please do.
I know that the federal government is starting to talk about it now, and Lois Frankel is getting involved and having some meetings with Delray and some other communities. We'll keep on top of that at the federal level as well as the state level. You know that our lobbyists did try to help us with the sober home. In addition to that, no one from the staff has been notified about that facility whatsoever. We will dig into it. We'll get the information necessary and get it to you as soon as possible.
Thank you.
We'll do everything we can to help.
Thank you very much. And
Matthew.
I guess if there were to be a public hearing, because our city owns property very close by, I would think that we would be in that boundary to receive a public notification should there be a meeting on it, correct? Thank you. Okay, so we would. So then you could keep us informed as well.
Our
as
golf course too, and if it is something that's detrimental to the city, I think that we need to tell the county that we're not in favor of it once we get that information, if it is.
Okay. Does anybody?
Matthew, I just want to say thank you. It's Matthew, isn't it? Yes, it is. Thank you for coming, and thank you for staying for our comments and bringing it to our attention.
Yes, thank you very much. We have unfortunately closed the public hearing portion of the comments. If you do have something to give us, or if you want to send something our city clerk is right there, and she'd be happy to share that with us. So please pass whatever you have on to her, and she'll be happy to give that to us.
And make sure we get your name and address so that our planning and zoning director will be able to communicate with you, and maybe together we can collaborate and see what we can do together.
Thank you very much. Does anybody else have any comments or discussion on another topic? No? Okay, great. So we are going to, well, no, we have to move on to the city attorney's report. We can't forget Max. He's been very busy tonight.
No, I don't. I think I've briefed all of you on the status of our current cases and what's going on in your individual agenda reviews, so I think we're good.
Thank you very much. So now we need a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Wonderful. We have a motion and a second, so we can go.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carries to adjourn.